What's up, Smite fans? Dolson here, and Season 9 of the SPL is shaping up to be maybe the best ever. And to help us get there, we're partnering with Alienware to provide us, our players, the production team, with state-of-the-art gear to make this year one of the best yet. But don't take my word for it. Let's hear what the pros have to say.
As a professional player, it's super important to make sure that you just have the absolute highest quality gear and peripherals that you can ever get. And having an Alienware PC has completely upped our game here at the SPL.
It's really nice being able to play from the same PC from home into the studio, and I highly recommend it. It feels great to play on.
So I really enjoyed using Alienware computers because one, I'm a streamer, content is my job, and the power of the Alienware PCs is like amazing. It's perfect for everything that we need to do.
I stream 1080p, no problem. I have no issues with FPS, no frame lag or anything like that.
64 gigabytes of RAM is just something that you can only dream of, and like it helps so much with processing like anything that you need to perform, like multitasking, whether it's streaming, recording, gaming, like everything all at once, and it's been a very smooth experience.
As someone who doesn't enjoy building my own PC, the Alienware's kind of got everything in one machine. It was super easy.
I really like the pre-built Alienware as well because it's really hard to get a graphics card on the market currently.
A 3090 is like impossible to obtain, so being able to play on it has been honestly a very lucky experience.
Back in the day, I used to game and do all my content on a really pathetic laptop, and once I actually was able to get an Alienware PC, there's just no turning back.
For a lot of players that were used to just their home setups and maybe didn't have top quality products, going to such a huge upgrade with our Alienware PCs has just absolutely increased the quality of our practice.
I'm just a big fan of Alienware. I think they're the top of the line PCs literally for a reason.
It's definitely the best PC I've ever had by a long way.
Shoutouts to Alienware, great company, love them a lot.
And I have nothing but praise for the product.
That's high praise from some of the best gamers in the world. So thanks again to Alienware for powering us this year in Season 9 of the SMITE Pro League. And remember, if you want to get your hands on some of the gear that our pro players play on, make sure to check out Alienware on all of their socials and at their website as well.
I think if I didn't have my Alienware, I would go out and purchase one right now.
And if you want to go out and get one of those great Alienware products that our pros get to play on, not just here in the studio, but as well as at home, and that our production staff and even us as casters get to use here in the studio, then make sure that you go over to smitegame.com/Alienware and use code AWSMITE09. That way you can get your hands on some of the top-of-the-line quality products that Alienware has to offer for all of you fans and for our players as well. So thank you so much to Alienware for coming back in Season 9 of the SMITE Pro League, empowering not just us, but our players and our fans at home as well. Our final set of the day, because we've already gone through now 2 of the 3 sets in this triple header Sunday, and our final of 10 sets for the week, Mifflin. That's a lot of Smite that we've gone through. What a great one to end on, the Jade Dragons and the Tartarus Titans.
Yeah, I mean, the Jade Dragons still jockeying and vying to get into that top 2. The Tartarus Titans in the exact same position, so I think this should be a pretty good set. It feels like the Jade Dragons have, maintained their stride. The Tartarus Titans are starting to find their pace as well. We'll see whether or not the Titans can keep on that streak, though.
And as we take a quick look at the schedule there, you can see it is our final one. Atlantis Leviathans secured their spot at that top seed. But the Tartarus Titans hot on the heels of the Jade Dragons, only sitting at 8-3 for the number 2. Tartarus Titans 3 seeds behind them, but only 2 sets away. Could try and close up that gap just a little bit more for not only themselves, but even for the Camelot Kings, who are also only sitting a set behind the Jade Dragons at that point. And I think for these 2 teams, probably one of the biggest talking points to go through is that matchup between not just the mid laners, but also the carries for this team, because I think that Stewart has been making a massive step up since he joined the Tartarus Titans roster, and I think that Paul in the mid lane has also proven that he's been able to expand that God pull and become a massive threat on even just a few specific picks, especially ones like Set.
Yeah, he's really found his pacing on Set. I'm surprised that we haven't seen Paul go back to some of his old standards, right? Especially with the Beats Aegis situation. I thought for sure it was time for some, I almost want to say Pilla, but that doesn't sound great. But Scylla is one of the standouts for him in the past, and one that I thought might be able to find a home in this meta. Haven't quite seen that just yet. Stu, as you said, seems to have been a very plug-and-play player for the Tartarus Titans as well. Just kind of came in, held his own day one. Made that as smooth a transition as losing Cyclone Spin possibly could have, and can't possibly be an easy transition considering how storied a career he has had. But the Tartarus Titans holistically have really started to clean up some of their play. They've been playing very well around Aurora in particular, who has been a bit on the hyper-aggressive side. I mean, it feels like Aurora spends the majority of his time on the enemy side of the map, and when you've got aggressive picks like the Morgan transforming into these assassins or things like the set that can follow up, the Tartarus Titans generally see a good deal of success.
Yeah, the Tartarus Titans have been doing pretty well for themselves, kind of on the up and rise in this half of the phase. Had a little bit of a slow start in the first half of phase number 3. And I mean, even for players like Stewart, you go over, look at some of his past KDAs, a 4-1, 6-2, 7-1, 6-2 are some of the ones out of there. But Paul has been making some big waves over in the mid lane. And the good news is we've got him standing by for our pregame interview.
That's right, Paul, mid laner of the Tartarus Titans, standing by with me. And Paul, I want to start high level here. You're getting towards the end of the phase. Few matchups left. Guaranteed top 6, guaranteed going into to phase 3 playoffs. Do you feel like the team's still driving for one of those top 2 seeds, or is that less on your mind in these matchups?
I think we were talking about, like, if we win everything, and, like, I don't really recall, but I think there's a slight chance we can still get, like, 2nd seed or something like that. So that'd be nice, but, you know, top 6 is, I mean, that's kind of what you want to get anyways. So
Yeah, absolutely. And with a lot of these games, look, it's been a interesting last couple of weeks, right? Beads, I guess, all that situation. Meta's shifted up maybe a little bit. Do you feel like you've been able to adapt to a lot of the mid lane picks we've been seeing relatively easily? Seen a lot of Set, a lot of Vulcan. Do you feel like that's been second nature for you?
yeah, I think it's actually really cool, the Beads Aegis thing, because there's, like, so much wild stuff going on, man. Like, Vulcan is obviously, like, crazy without Aegis, and just, like, a lot of, like, random picks are just, like, really good with Aegis.
Kind of final thoughts here, going up against the Jade Dragons, a team that you're kind of chasing to try to get into that top 2, so this would be a fantastic start. They play very early game focus, love to be aggressive. Paul, or not Paul, you're Paul. Pagon out of the mid lane. He likes to play the set, kind of double assassin-y type compositions. That's something you guys feel like you'll have an answer to today?
Yeah, I mean, I like to say I founded the set mid, so I hope I'd be all right at it. So
yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a fun matchup. Thanks for your time, Paul. Best of luck. We'll go back to the desk to start this one off.
Paul saying the founder of the set mid. And I mean, if I'm dialing back a little bit in history, weren't too
Why
many
not?
people playing set mid at any point. Paul, at least the first one to me that comes to mind. So, hey, maybe he is the founder of it. But as you heard, going up against him is Pagon, a player who has also picked up the set mid, has picked up quite a few things in this mid lane, has really been able to make it shine. The set notably on there, the Yu Huang as well is something that comes to mind that Pagon has played exceptionally well in these last few weeks for the Jade Dragons, has really been one of the leading factions. I mean, again, it's so weird to still say this to him, but this is the rookie mid laner. This is his first year, and he has had some of the best lights out performances of a rookie, and for a team like the Jade Dragons as well.
Yeah, a team that is so well established in the league, it had to be a difficult transition for Pagon to make it on this team, right? Like you look at the Jade Dragons or Ghost Gaming, and you say, man, these are some of the most well-established players in the league. Guys like PBM who are so clear in their play style, or Panda Cat, who's very used to playing as the win condition and focal point of this squad, or Fino-K, who's been dominating the solo lane. You got to come into this team and think to yourself, man, I'm a rookie, surrounded by consummate veterans that have got high potential and high expectations. How am I going to live up to that? Clearly, it hasn't played into his mind at all, because he's been doing it very, very well and has earned himself the nickname Pay God. That's dope. I mean, I wish, right? But Pagon, I think when you talk about him, you talk about a versatile hyper carry that is going to play for the counter matchup at any given opportunity. In some of his first weeks in the SPL, is playing things like the Susano mid or the Gilgamesh mid, and now the set as he's is a little bit more in line with the standard meta, but still also capable of playing the standard mages and elevating them just with mechanical skill.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the unique thing about Pagon is he came in, it was kind of a question mark. All right, what's Pagon going to play in this mid lane? It was kind of that same question whenever we talk about players like BennyQ in the mid, whenever he was over on the Winter Dogs, and both these players in the SCC at the same time. You never knew what these guys were going to do. Are they going to play the Assassins? Are they going to play the Hunters, the Mages, or whatever it may be? It was always question marks, but for Pagon, he's kind of solidified that he's not only playing the weird stuff, but really successful at playing some of those stranger things. So you go back to the Gilgamesh earlier on in the phase, the Susanos, the Tsukuyomis out there as well. I mean, feels like Pagon can almost do no wrong no matter what he's kind of picking up, Mifflin.
But things have changed a little bit since then. Seems as if they've reeled in his God pool a little bit more so. Has been a bit more often going towards the standard meta, playing things like the set, the Yu Huang, and just facilitating his team in that way. So whether or not we're going to get back to the random, just like 10th pick, counter matchup, run them down, I believe like sold Ven like 5 times in one set once upon a time. Haven't quite seen that performance from him recently. Instead, the Jade Dragons have been playing a little bit more holistically around the entirety of the map. At times blitzkrieg, at times a little bit more late game slanted. It seems like the Jade Dragons have been a team that have really diversified their win conditions, and we've seen that a lot. When teams have got multiple avenues to find dubs, it makes it that much harder to lock them down.
Yeah, and again, being able to do that across their team, I think even the Tartarus Titans have expanded that up a little bit. It felt like the Tartarus Titans at the start of the phase were kind of faltering a little bit. It was kind of hard to find wins over through the duo lane. It felt like it was really coming down to Paul and Layers, and then Paul has stepped up, so Layers kind of took a backseat. Now Cyclone is gone. Stewart jumps in. We're all wondering, okay, is Stewart maybe going to be one of those win cons for the Tartarus Titans? And I think the answer to that one is pretty clearly yes, just based off some of the performance he's had in the last couple of weeks of play, some of the strong performance he's had, and even still over there into the soul lane. SOT has always been somebody who can definitely carry this team through. So I think we have a very diverse squad of win cons for both of these squads, and that's what makes it so fun to watch matchups like this one, is because you never know where these teams are going to try and allocate that win condition.
Yeah, and I think you're right to bring up SOT in particular. He has been an incredibly impressive player, but when I talk to other players in the league or other teams, they say, man, the Tartarus Titans always looked best when they had just a hyper-aggressive soul in there. They harken back to Benji and how he used to play the game, and it was, hey, I'm going to stick around in my lane. I'm not going to be able to pressure elsewhere on the map. I don't really rotate, but I will bring the map to me. SOT doesn't exactly play that same style. He's incredibly mechanically talented. I've gone on record saying I think he is one of the most mechanical, if not the most mechanical player in the league. But what SOT does is he's a little bit more selfless. He likes to rotate to these mid fights, likes to get involved in the greater Scorpion engagements, and at times it's at sacrifice to himself. We'll see SOT pretty consistently fall about half level, maybe a level down throughout the early portions, not because he's losing out in his lane, but because he spends a little bit less time in lane than his contemporaries in the solo. So I think it is something the Tartarus Titans have been adjusting to recently, and it's really been reflecting in the draft as well. SOT been going towards things like the Guan Yu, so he can heal up, initiate these fights, back up, rinse, repeat. And since they've been adjusting the draft to fit his play style a little bit more, I think the Tartarus Titans have looked a lot better.
Now, the last time I should say that these two teams squared off was a little bit earlier on in the phase. There was a 2-0 to the Jade Dragons. Game 1 was a 35-minute beatdown for the Dragons. Game 2 even faster at 25. We'll see if the Tartarus Titans can at least push this one to Game 3. If not, maybe even take the set for themselves up against the Dragons. Remember, Jade Dragons sitting at that number 2 seed right now. Tartarus Titans, even though they're at 5th, are only 2 sets away from maybe being able to overtake the Jade Dragons, and a win here would definitely elevate their chances of pushing in towards that top 2. But as the first bands go through, one of the big problem children that have come just because of the nature of this Beads and Aegis meta that we are in, or maybe lack thereof Aegis, has been the Vulcan that Paul alluded to, and it's one of the first things the Jade Dragons will take off the table.
Yeah, I mean, Paul has been playing a whole lot of Vulcan as of recent. Seems like within his last 6 games, I believe it's been about 4 of them. As I wait for my webpage to load and fact check myself before someone beats me to it, has been 4 in the last 6. Otherwise falls back towards the Morrigan or things like the Soul, so certainly some other picks that are still available to him. But I think the Morrigan, as of right now, might be the highest priority for the Tartarus Titans, unless the Jade Dragons address it here. In a no Aegis world, Morrigan walks up, stuns you, hits you with the poly auto attack, Dark Omen immediately afterward, and your only response is, hey, I'm CC immune, I beads, but I haven't exactly got the best answer to it besides shelling or leaping away. And then the transformation comes through, and generally that's where you have your chase potential as well. Cupid rounds out the bans for the Jade Dragons. So that will leave the Morrigan available to the Titans if the Jade Dragons don't take it in first slot. Could be one the Titans have got their eyes on.
The Jade Dragons, for their mid laner, has picked up that Morrigan twice of his last 6. Paul's only gotten his hands on it 1 time. With how often the set has been banned away, wouldn't be surprised if set and the Morrigan maybe both get let through. One team takes one team grabs the other one, or maybe we see if one gets banned away and the other left open for the Jade Dragons. One final ban for the Tartarus Titans to join the ranks of the Hades and the Cernanos.
Oh, really?
And it will be the Morrigan, banned away right away, and a Yamoja snap lock for the Jade Dragons.
Yeah, I thought for sure it was going to be a Yamoja ban there from the Titans, and then I was projecting maybe an Ishtar or Cern lock-in, Cern ban, so Ishtar lock-in for the Jade Dragons, but instead Yamoja left available. They didn't want to deal with the Morrigan themselves on the side of the Titans, I suppose projecting that the Jade Dragons would prioritize that for themselves. and instead now, with Yamoja locked in, take Ishtar as well. So ADC priority belongs to the Titans, and Paul still finds a comfort pick with the Set.
Yeah, so Set and Ishtar. It's been a while since we've seen Paul in the Set, but has been dominating on that pick whenever he gets his hands on it, usually at minimum 5 kills in a game that he's able to grab. And then Ishtar has been working really well for Stewart. 3 out of the last 4 games that he's played that have been winning ones, and the one that he lost, only a 0-2 performance in that regard versus a 7-1, a 6-2, and a 4-1. So this is a pick that has fit very nicely for Stewart on the Tartarus Titans. Jade Dragons, though, looking at Ymir, and it's making me kind of scratch my head as if this one will actually be locked in or not. The Pele more likely. I don't think this Ymir is going to make it through, though, Myth.
I don't know. Ymir's got a home in the jungle, right? Like, not the worst thing on the planet. Tons of early DPS, has a decent gank already into Ishtar, controls that relic selection, kind of forces the Phantom Shell. Awesome. I don't know why I'm still analyzing it. We know the Daji's locked in, which is slated for the jungle, and we know what Daji does as well, which is a whole lot of pressure and a 1v1 potential come late game. But with Pele with it, too, it seems like we're going to have a matchup with the Assassins in mid. That Pele, very likely for Pagan, up against the Set. I wonder how that matchup starts to pan out. We haven't seen this one just yet. Gotta imagine Set just gets priority on wave. The Skewer just a much faster clear than Pyroclast, but as far as all-in potential and 2v2 or 3v3 fights, Pele brings a little bit of AoE damage with the Volcanic Lightning. I think it's a pretty decent answer. It just match pressure with pressure, fire with fire.
Athena for the Tartarus Titans. Now the question up in the air is that a Roar or is that SOT? Maybe could be Layers, though I haven't seen Layers really shy over towards the Guardians in the jungle necessarily, so we'll keep our eyes on where this Athena does land out. For the bans, it will be Cthulhu, Artio, and Khepri so far. One more ban for the Jade Dragons to match up with the support since Yumoja has been locked in. Guan Yu seems to be the answer, whether that one would have gone towards Layers in the jungle as prior or over to SOT. Doesn't matter now because that one has been removed from play for the Jade Dragons.
So the Jade Dragons in second phase of bans kind of play the fence a little bit. They're saying, look, with the Khepri ban, you're thinking that Athena's probably headed to Soul Lane. We've seen SOT play it. It's that facilitator style I was talking about a little bit earlier during the death segment. Loves to get involved in team fights on the opposite side of the map. But the Jade Dragons are also saying, well, it might just go support. Like, Aurora is very capable of playing this pick, has been playing it for 8-9 years now. So Guan Yu as the secondary ban. Seems like you've split the uprights a little bit here with the Jade Dragons. The Titans now have a little bit more opportunity to flex around this Athena. I think it still is pretty likely to head to Soul Lane just because we know SOT likes this pick so much, and it would really, really mesh well with this Set. Anytime Set dives in, it's a high rotation tile mid laner. Go over to the duo lane, have your Athena match up with them. The gap close into Defender of Olympus combo. Going to be very strong. But we'll see. There's certainly flex potential for the Titans, and I would be doing us a disservice to say that the Pele doesn't also have potential to flex. I do have it projected for mid, but Final K is very capable of playing it too.
Cerberus, the lock-in for the Tartarus Titans. Still
I learned
technically
nothing.
some flex.
I learned absolutely nothing.
Still technically flex. Whether this goes to Aurora in support or to SOT in solo, up in the air for the Tartarus Titans at this point. Now option to the Jade Dragons. I don't even know if I want to, talk too much about the potential of the Nuwa. So we'll see what the Jade Dragons actually decide to go for. As Dave and Charlie have a little bit of fun over to our side.
So jealous.
Thor hovered as well. Still leaves question marks and still makes me wonder that the Jade Dragons are just bouncing around hovers until they inevitably find what they want to lock in. Now as we go back towards Hunters there. All over the place, but triple assassin for the Jade Dragons. Thor being the one. And
what?
Actually will be the Nuwa for Panda Cat?
Look, I actually got into a pretty big tizzy last night during the last set with the Jade Dragons, and I'd said, look, Scream, I understand the strategy with these hyper-aggressive, massive dive compositions is win early and you've got the draft to do it. Obviously, the Jade Dragons have got the potential to just run over the Tartarus Titans with the composition like this, But the counter argument and why I would say this would leave you in a draft diff situation is because your win condition is so narrow with a draft like this for the Jade Dragons. It is, hey, I need to be invading first purple. I need to be getting on top of this blue buff. You need early kills. You need to transition them into objectives, and you need to make sure by the time the 15-minute mark rolls around, you've got a massive experience and gold lead so that you're capable of team fighting with this draft. Whereas the Tartarus Titans win condition, as far as I'm concerned, is make it to 20 minutes and keep the gold deficit to less than 4 or 5,000. If you can keep it within acceptable realms, I think the Titans win condition is just so much easier to execute on. But this is exciting, Smite. I'll never stop the Jade Dragons from doing it because they are capable of executing on it. They are capable of just running you over with a highly aggressive draft like this. Looking at it top to bottom, I gotta imagine this Daji is still slated for the jungle. I will likely put Thor in the soul lane. That does leave Pele towards mid. And then Nuwa ADC, I mean...
What season is this?
I don't love Nuwa ADC, but if you need help finishing off your kills, if you are so reliant on the early game actually securing these kills, Nuwa doesn't even need to aim.
No, just press that 4 button. What was it? Zapman back on like his first year where he was running towards the ring that he was running this ADC. So seeing this one come back is just a little bit wild. Now let's kind of look maybe over towards the Tartarus side. You say, you know, get to that 20, 25-minute mark. Maybe don't fall too far behind. With this Lancelot lock-in.
Wait, is it Nuwa mid? Pele ADC?
Oh, now we have
that.
more questions.
I mean, like that makes more sense, right?
Uh-huh.
Because we've seen the standard warrior or assassin in the duo lane. You could even like it could even be like Yamoja Thor with like Pele solo Nuwa mid. I don't know, man. And if I'm guessing, that means the Titans are guessing. And if the Titans are guessing, their coach is guessing. And if you're guessing going into a game, you're reeling, you're off balance. If the Jade Dragons are here to confuse us, they've done it.
I think they've at least successfully confused you. Confused me, maybe the fans, and possibly even the players on the opposite side there. But Tartarus Titans still kind of up in the air where this Athena and Cerberus is going. The Lancelot likely sliding itself over for layers in the jungle. Set for Paul in the mid and Ishtar for Stewart. Those probably seem to be... I would even say the Ishtar probably the only guarantee on this squad going over to Stewart. That's still questionable. We will have to see, though, where things do pan out. Jade Dragons, Tartarus Titans should be an exciting Game 1 that we'll bring you right now.
That's right, the Luge duo bringing you Jade Dragons and the Titans, and hopefully some answers, because my goodness, this draft is strange from the Jade Dragons. It is indeed Panda Cat on the Nuwa out of the duo lane, Pagon on Pele mid, Final K Thor solo, Scream with Daji out of the jungle. So Myth got it right on his first guess. Unfortunate for Mike, oh no, I was going to say Mike and Scream, and then like half of Final K have to play like their standard picks here, where Pagon and Panda Cat get to just have some fun. I'm interested of the tone of this match, Trey.
Yeah.
If this, you know, the Jade Dragons will try to win. I want to get that out of the way. Are we having fun in winning? Or are we like, yo, this is actually kind of a good comp. Let's see if we can make it work. And then also winning. Titans they gotta delay this one for a little while and then presumably win later on in team fight time.
I love that as a unit we have all decided that PBM is unkillable.
Yeah.
So everyone's just gonna watch him. Like he's gonna try and steal away minis. He's gonna be annoying. He's gonna stall away, but he's not gonna. No one's gonna try and kill him. It's not gonna continue. He's gonna stay here, and that's gonna be the way it is. That's just how PBM is gonna play, and that's it. And now he's gonna have a slow on track to lane. Well, he just walks next
I like
to
his
Stuart
jump
Aurora.
stamp. Is that a
I'll have to
jump
see.
one more time? It is! And you know what? That describes Mike perfectly. It's just fantastic.
That he's poop?
No, that he's using that jump stamp. No, not his jump stamp doesn't describe him perfectly.
That's what I thought you were saying.
No, that's terrible of me. No, I love Mike. No,
We all do. He's great.
The fact that he's using that jump stamp. Yeah, okay, I see how my words might not have... Yeah, his jump stamp describes him perfectly. No, his mentality.
Right.
Now I do. Okay, we have to at least give this draft some credence before we determine what type of angle the Jade Dragons are playing here. 3 assassins.
Yep.
1 mage, 1 guardian. Is this the peak of run it down play style in your mind?
100%. In my mind, it's full-on aggression. This style of play, you want to be blinking in constantly, and then something you have to remember is that Scream and Final K are going to be pulling beads consistently. forcing pretty much everyone into one, except for Aurora as of now has beads, which means Panda Cat is always going to get value out of that ultimate. No Aegis to be had. You're going to make sure. So I'm thinking it's Final K ults in, Scream blinks to the back line, Pagon blinks to the back line, and then Panda Cat's got the follow-up with the ult. That's the play style. If it doesn't work once, the fight kind of falls apart from there. So if you're not clicking forward and winning, the Tartarus Titans have a great opportunity to just win the fight.
What happened to Aurora here? Aurora somewhat low over in the duo lane. All right, so then maybe is the task simple for the Titans? Is it let's hope we can backpedal away for a little while here and eventually our comp will just be better? Is there a pivot point here in this game where the Titans should, in theory, just be better?
Well, they do have a pretty tanky draft as well. I think if Layers is able to fit some hybrid items in the build, Paul's on the set, so he should be just fine. It's unfortunate because I feel like whoever dies first on the Tartarus Titans, if a kill comes through, is going to be the target for the rest of these ultimates, right? It's just going to be all out, just aggression towards that player. But I think there are certainly some answers. PBM getting the hog off, making sure to confirm that purple buff. The Tartarus Titans just want to wait for late game and survive the onslaught of assassin ults. If they can do that, I think their fight looks great. Like what does Thor do if not ult in? The double tap, the wall, it's good. It's not 100-0 potential. You know, you really need the ultimates of all three of these assassins to win a team fight.
Well, the Jade Dragons, remember, still some chase for the top two against the Jade Dragons. Not guaranteed by any means. Camelot King's right there. Jade Dragons counting this set have 3 remaining, so they'll play 2 next weekend, where we'll see the Kings play a few next weekend. So, you know, I think these teams all realize they're going to have to win a bunch of sets to go to Worlds anyway. But making your life easier, I think, still very important. The Jade Dragons agree. So level 5 is where we're looking. Final K, Scream, Pagon there. Of course, duo lane going to be a little bit behind. And now I wonder if we see those blinks come back up, Scream and Pagon start to look for their targets. I mean, technically, it's you know, not as absurd the composition for the Titans. They've got double assassin, just a bit more tankiness potentially out of the solo lane. Layers take some damage from Scream. Would love to invade this purple buff, but it is not up and ready to go just yet. And those beads away to Palau to be burnt away. Scream maybe with Scepter wants to get a bit more aggressive.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for the Dragons because at the moment, Panda Cat is on Nuwa, and he can't clear the wave. So what the Tartarus Titans have done is keep the weave at their tower line and just said, hey, you got to step all the way up if you're going to clear it. So Panda Cat's sending the fog through. He's getting the XP. He's getting the last hits if he can, but he's losing a bit of golden experience every time that wave goes up. That's why the rotations were coming through. Scream was trying to bail out the duo lane. Luckily, Panda Cat was able to hit level 5. So should get a little bit of extra safety. But as of now, Nuwa's got to push all the way up to that tower line if she wants to actually clear a wave.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if Panda Cat starts maxing the fog just because of that reason. You do lose a little bit of your fight potential, but it'll help you clear the wave so far, going with the Shining Metal. But if you're constantly having to trek all the way towards that tower to clear a wave as a Nuwa, it's a long way back to safety.
Long way back. You got to use your ult to get out of fray. Maybe something Layers considering. Now, Sot also an X factor here in this matchup. You know, the more I look at it, I wonder, and Final K's gone Rune Forged first item, by the way. I wonder what build Final K is going to look for here. Because if Final goes like bruisery, semi-tanky.
I want 4 hammers.
You want 4 hammers?
I want every one. I want Blackthorn, Frostbound, Rune Forged, and then the Sledge. That's the full build.
Well, it just makes sense, right? It's Thor wielding hammers. Just makes the most sense. But Rune Forged first here, Trelly. We don't often get to see this item, if ever. Does tell you that Final K is looking to fight?
100%. It seems like you're trying to hit your combos consistently. If you get SOT's beads down, even if he channels that Defender of Olympus to try and ult away, look at his build. He's going Book of Thoth. I mean, Final K and Scream should be able, with this build they've went for, should be able to find a kill onto that Athena, even if he's ulting away from the Palau, right? They just have so much burst potential with the Jotuns on the Daji and the Rune Forge onto Final K. So it tells me he wants to get active early. He's not sitting in lane till 20. That's not, you don't build Rune Forge if that's your plan. He wants to try and find some fights, or maybe even some invades. I got my eye on Scream, though. If he does decide to head towards the right side of the map, fighting could be the call. Panda Cat forced to ult did it defensively because of Stewart's aggression over in lane. Probably recognized that Layers was nearby. It's one of the benefits of the fire shards. You can just go up into the sky, get vision on literally everyone, and just say, oh, I was getting ganked. Probably smart for me to run away.
Jade Dragons buying their time. Now you got to stack up, right? You're looking at Pagon, Mike, Panda all stacking. On the flip side, Layers, Paul, both with Transcendence. And then Stewart with Devos as well. And, you know, typically Jade Dragons rotating through some of these early buffs haven't found an opening for a big buff invade yet, but Scream simply chasing down Layers, who does have beads. And so Palau not a guaranteed kill, but Pagon wants to scrap with Paul, and Pagon, the rookie, solos the veteran. And it's a great start for the Jade Dragons mid laner. It looks like Scream able to get away with a speed buff invade as well. That's what we've been looking for the Jade Dragons. They pull themselves a nice lead.
I mean, that's incredible. Paul must have tried to solo his own red buff at 1 HP, dashed over the wall, and then Pagon was able to blink to close gap. Because remember, Volcanic Lightning is available. That was not a Pele ult. I think Paul just got poked out, tried to solo his own red buff, and Pagon said, hey, that buff swings, man. I am going to be making sure I'm there to either steal it away or get a kill in the process. Gets the beads from the set and the first blood. That's massive. As you said, the speed invade happening all at the same time, so Layers couldn't make that rotation over. He couldn't try to help out his mid laner because he was getting bullied under his own tier 2 tower. The Jade Dragons using the early game to their advantage. They've got 3 assassins. They win the early for free if they're able to push up this pressure. So far, so good. You got 2-level lead in mid from Pagon. Now PBM picked up by Aurora.
Oh, Mike's in some trouble. Oh, Mike able to throw up the River's Rebuke, though, and he gets out. The Palau, the CC, it's simply too much from the Jade Dragons. The Titans unable to finish off the kill onto Mike, but Layers may be able to fix that. Anvil of Dawn, no good. Defender of Olympus makes its way in, but Sot now alone in the mid lane. The Jade Dragons, this is unbelievable, rallying around mid and notch 3 more kills.
Yeah, that's the ult you kind of regret clicking the button. You know, you aim in, you're like, oh, do you need my help? I'm on the way. And the second you land, just death comes through. Final K with a good ultimate was off the mark, but it's not about the ult anymore. Once you're able to proc that lightning, you can really help out your team. Good wall, everything. Make sure that Panda Cat gets some assist as well, too, to his name. But Pagon 3-0 on this Pele. That's what you really want. Remember, when that fight was happening, Panda Cat can help out from lane. You know, he just uses that ultimate and says, hey, maybe I'll get a last hit, steal some gold. At the very least, I'm getting assists.
Yep.
And that's what the call was. 4 total kills for the Jade Dragons. And that gold lead is continuing to climb upwards of 3K, and that's without Pyromancer even spawning in, and the Gold Fury is untouched.
It's exactly what we expected, though, from this composition from the Jade Dragons. It's worked out so far. Now, Mifflin set, 4,000 or 5,000 gold is kind of his mark, 20 minutes in, still within striking distance for the Titans. To your point, Trelly, if Pyro and gold go to the Jade Dragons, as well as another kill or two, we're already there in half the time, depending on how the Dragons end up choosing to fight. Now, mathematically, for the Titans, this is a must-win if you want to break into the top 2. They're currently 3 games behind the Jade Dragons with 3 sets to go for both of these 2 teams, counting this one. So Jade Dragons would be out of reach of the Titans. Titans would have to settle for seeding changes within the top 6. And not a great start to game 1 for them. But, again, potential to turn it around. I have to imagine something like this is awkward for Layers, because you're 2 levels down to Scream. Pagon has pulled 3 levels ahead of Layers, or Paul, rather.
Yep.
4 ahead of Layers, if I want to get the name correct. I'm not sure where this Lancelot wants to go. I don't know if he can go anywhere, Trelly.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I do agree with what Miff was saying, but the issue with this comp from behind is that you're putting a lot of weight onto plays like this, where you gotta commit a ton to kill Panda Cat. He can stall for quite some time with his ult. He's gonna go up. Here comes Mike. It's gonna take a while for him to get here, though.
Panda Cat should die. One last auto from Layers does get it done, and it's just Mike on left. So the dive on a Nuwa, good. Yeah, but my goodness,
yeah, Scream's got
a lot of damage. All right, so this is gonna end up being a 1-for-1 trade in all likelihood, unless Aurora with Stygian Torment just delays this out. He won't. Pagon with his 4th of the game.
Look at him smile. You know he stole that kill. They're like, what? They're like, really? You needed 4?
Well, now well, he does, right? Think back to what Pagon did on set. Last time we saw the Jade Dragons play, and it was completely decimate in game number 3. And it was a start just like this. When Pagon plus Assassin, plus this type of early lead, all come together in an equation. It was a 20-something minute Jade Dragons win, which has been fast, given the games that we've seen here this weekend. Type of player, this kid plays with a lot of confidence. This type of pick with this type of lead is a fantastic look and great synergy for the way he wants to play.
Yeah, no doubt. To my other point, though, the Tartarus Titans, even with 4 or 5K gold lead, they've got a decent late game. My one issue is that Paul, usually the one to get this team out of their slumps here, on the set, it's not a favorable matchup. I mean, your only kill, to be honest, is if you're overwhelming the single assassins in the Daji, the Pele, or the Thor, or you're all-out diving Panic Cat. I mean, that's your call, because at the moment, like, Nuwa's got incredible self-peel, that's the word. You can just drop the clay soldiers, use the shining metal, it's good peel, you go up into the sky, wait for your team, that sort of thing. And then Pagon, Scream, and Final K are just doing more damage. I mean, to a level 12 set at the moment, there's really no way back into this game. You kind of have to sit back and hope your team is able to start the fight for you. If Paul's like third, fourth one into the fight, all objectives, all ults are down, and then he's going in trying to find cleanup, then the Tartarus Titans have some answers. But at the moment, I mean, I don't think anyone, unless they're 4-man diving Panda Cat under a tower with no Jade Dragons in sight, it's not going to be easy.
Scream, takes a big chunk of skewer damage from Paul. You have to be careful. Scream, still squishy despite a 2-level lead over layers. You're equal in levels with Paul. All about Pagon on this Pele. It's a rotation in from Fino K. That means Gold Fury started up by the Jade Dragons. Aurora would love the Stygian Torment to set up a kill. Fantastic Rivers Rebuke. Where's the Anvil of Dawn? Gonna go down from Fino K on to 2, and that set up a great fight, but Paul starting to spin up the wheels a bit. And now he's got to run stage right out of this engagement. It's not bad from the Tartarus Titans. They found 3, but suddenly they've dropped 2. Panda Cat's still in it, but it's all down to Fino K as the Titans down big are able to get a deicide onto the Jade Dragons unless Fino K can scurry away.
Oh, he's got his 10% CDR. He needs a little bit more. The hammer could even try and come back up here, but I think he's finally going to be caught down. Massive answer back from the Tartarus Titans. It was a good ultimate from SOT. That time, when you're ulting onto Aurora and you think he's about to die, he did not die. The mitigations from Defender of Olympus, as well as the fight was a bit split up. Fino K goes up in the sky, but stays there for the entirety of that duration. And I think Pagon got absolutely deleted before the fight even started. It seemed like Layers was able to win that trade because he was just nowhere to be found, died so early on. And the rest of the team, unfortunately, was already gone. It just seemed like Fino K was the cleanup crew.
Yep.
Wasn't able to win that 1v3.
Yeah, Anvil of Dawn took a little bit to get down there. And so the Titans, despite massive early deficit, able to stay alive in this game. And that closes that gap for Paul a decent bit, who looked really good in that last fight. Actually has more damage in the game currently than Pagon does. One of those kills from Pagon, potentially a bit stolen. But remember, it was a 3-level gap from Paul to Pagon. That's now closed up to just the 1. The 2-level difference in jungle, not completely equal as well. Gold closed up a little bit further. So the Tartarus Titans, despite what was a very, very rough start to this game, still have some fight back into it. And the rotation through from SOT, I think a massive difference here as well. Now, last time we saw this, Athena, it was teleport and then 2 different relics. SOT going blink and beads this time around. And so the first time when it made these massive waves, it was, ult anywhere you want and then just teleport back to lane. No big deal if you don't get much value out of it. But it seems like SOT's really got to pick and choose those engagements this game because you're going to be on the other side of the map for a while, giving free farm time to Fino K if you don't get value.
Yeah, I think something that I overlooked last fight, and just really, I think maybe the Jade Dragons also overlooked it. You don't get to talk about it too much because most Athenas don't build full damage, but Defender of Olympus does a lot of damage on that landing.
Yeah.
And so when SOT landed on Aurora, I think there was some assassins grouped up around him, and they didn't realize, like, oh yeah, we're getting chunked level 3. It's going to be 510 damage plus Book of Thoth and Spear of Desolation.
90% magical
yeah,
power too. That's
it's
good.
a lot of damage coming through as well as the mitigation. So because SOT has chose to itemize this way, And because so many of the Jade Dragons are within melee range, a lot of damage coming through, and Panda Cat's getting real low to Paul.
Panda Cat backs his way back into lane. Now it's about delaying for Panda Cat, but look at the Jade Dragons. They're just headed to Pyromancer. They realize Panda Cat, unsavable at this point. Paul is going to be the one to get the kill, but the Dragons will snag the Pyromancer. And it seems, Trelly, like Panda Cat rather, has just been the one served up. The Jade Dragons say, look, some of you may die, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. And unfortunately for Panda Cat, his life for Pyro's the trade.
Panda Cat actually opted to go for the Frenzy in that last slide. It is clear to me, I mean, with every passing item, what the Jade Dragon's plan is. All in aggression from the top 3. Panda Cat is going to pop Frenzy ult and hope that he can, get some last hits or just help with that extra bit of damage. Unfortunately for Panda Cat, it's going to be a while before he's able to survive in that lane. Final K up and back down. Not on anyone.
Nope.
Just getting some extra farm.
Not hitting anything, but that's okay. Do like the Thor gameplay. I'm a non-hidden Thor favorite. All right, Pagon gets another solo, presumably onto Paul.
Aurora's on the way, though.
Aurora is closing the gap. Minions cleared.
No
Layers
way.
close. Blink in. Stop the back. Pagon unable to make it out, and that was really his only option.
Yep.
Into the jungle, he meets Aurora. Through the tower, he ends up dying. Pagon will have to accept the 1-for-1 trade, but with Paul off the map, Pagon off the map, no room for Paul to catch up until he respawns back in.
I will say, I think that one was just, hey, I'm avenging Panda Cat. Like, that's all that was.
That was, I'm bored.
Yeah, Pagon was like, you know what? You bullied my ADC. I'm gonna go over there and bully you for a bit. Trade kills, dying underneath the tower, and of course, good stop by Aurora and Layers. It was close, but it did seem like there was no way he was going to be able to make it out of that one. And Paul, unfortunately, just got camped. I mean, Pagon was waiting for him.
Pagon was considering going back, too. Unfortunate for Paul. Paul was almost full HP, so that's just another clean 1v1.
If Pagon went that way, he was out. He wanted the wave. If he went that way, he was gone.
Greedy
he went for
Pagon.
the wave tax, man. He was so gone if he just walked the opposite direction.
Greedy. That's a rookie mistake right now. Veteran Pagon, a year or two from now, he's walking the other way out of the tower range, but happy to get another kill over Paul. Pagon has soloed some very, very good mid laners already in his career. Add Paul to the list now twice here in this game. But going into that fight, Pagon had 4 kills in the back pocket and a 1 level or so lead. I was wondering if Pagon was going to be able to maintain this XP rate and get to level 20 right around that 20-minute mark. Looks like he's slowed down just a little bit, but fine, okay. Wants to keep things going, forces Layers out of the fight.
I love that Sot's just channeling ult. Like, you good?
Right.
You good?
You good? Okay. Finding his targets.
He's still waiting. Anyone need me? Anyone at all?
He's ready. Well, look, what's he going to do? Farm? Yeah, right. No, look, he's going to be right on time. Now, see, the threat is like a moment like that where he's waiting to channel it. Look at his player cam.
Player cam. He's just staring.
No, but he's going to finally get into the fight. Look, he's already on it. It's miraculous from SOT. As in the back line, Final K, 1v1ing Stewart. Pagon is traded out with Layers, and Paul over on the other side of the fight. This is what the Jade Dragons have been looking for. But the Titans want to spoil the party, and it's SOT and Aurora with a chance to do so. A double stun, though, from the rest of the Jade Dragons means Final K can rejoin the fight. And Aurora left running. The Jade Dragons, this time around the Gold Fury, looking a lot better.
Yeah, full DS side once Aurora falls down. It's going to take a bit, but there's no way that Aurora runs away for this long. I just want Panda Cat to finally catch up and hit those minions, but it looks like Final K will get the last credit. The one thing Aurora did do is take them real far away from that Primal Fury, giving time for his team to respawn, I suppose. And because Panda Cat's not an actual ADC, yeah, looks like the full-on reset here for the Jade Dragon. So the D-side for 2, not going to be a bad trade, but Primal Fury stays alive because of how long it took this level 14 Cerberus to be ran down by everyone else on the Jade Dragons. Good play by Aurora, and what a great fight. I mean, Paul clearly thought he was doing a bit more damage, tried to go to the back line, but Pagon was able to answer back so much as well. That's even through the Brawler's beatstick. I saw a little bit of the sustain from Pele passive there come through, which kept Pagon alive. And then also Layers did a good bit of damage as well, but like I said earlier on, you might need a bit of a hybrid build, and it looks like he might build into a Glad Shield or something of that nature. Needs a bit of physical prot up against this team.
Well, that's what Final K has done. And so at the beginning of this game, we're kind of laughing, triple assassin comp, it's so wacky and crazy from the Jade Dragons. I mean, the way Final K is built is actually more akin to just a double assassin comp, and then instead of having an ADC over in duo, you're putting a mage there. So it's not all that ridiculous. Titans have a very similar composition themselves, actually, and the Jade Dragons have been playing it well. To the tune of now, potentially their first Fury of the game. It's a Primal. Titans won't try to contest this one. Instead, they'll pull the Pyromancer for themselves, and it looks like that'll be the neutral trade. Don't think Final K can get in range. He cannot. Maybe the best the Titans can hope for here, around a 4,000 gold deficit, is just trading out neutrals with the Dragons.
I'm just saying, Paul does get caught out here. Beautiful spin.
Shell.
He's going to go with the ult.
Shell used
He's
by
not going to
Paul.
ult that?
I know. I'm ulting that every day of the week, but Paul is so speedy.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to get in range.
All you got to do is hit the hammer and the ult after the fact. And what's his HP again? Oh, 3,300 I think we saw. He would have been fine. There's no way he's dying.
Yeah, Final K, he had the legs.
3,500 HP, he hits that, goes home for free. But
by the way, a lot of damage still from Final K, given his build,
Oh, for
Rune
sure.
Forge, Mana Core, Glad Shield, Spectral. He is swinging already. Jade Dragons are as well. This is a 23-minute Fire Giant pull. Again, on the back of a very aggressive team composition. Final K up. Where does the Anvil of Dawn go? Right into the face of Layers, who will gallop away. Double stun, doesn't hit, neither does the wall. And now Final K and Scream got to get back into the rest of the fight. That's still looking great for the Jade Dragons. The Titans, even in an odd-numbered fight in the rest of the jungle, haven't been able to get anything done. Sot will drop, and so will 3 members of the Titans. Now the Dragons can head back to FG.
Yeah, looks like Paul still does have ultimate, and Final K made sure that there was going to be no set joining the fight anytime soon. Great plays from all the Jade Dragons there. I mean, Final K made sure to force out the ultimate from Layers. Wall was a bit off the mark, and Scream was following him shortly, but Pagon and Panda Cat were able to survive the onslaught from Stewart and SOT, and once they lived through that, they just returned way more damage than they were dealt. Now time for the Jade Dragons to push down with FG. Remember, they've had the gold lead throughout the entirety of this game, and it looks like they're going to do just that. Send out the Trebuchet towards left. 2 Tier 1 towers still available, as well as 3 Tier 2s. You think that gold lead's big now? It's going to grow even more so if the Tartarus Titans aren't able to put up a defense. Definitely not a Tier 1s, but Tier 2s are a possibility. Paul and Layers still have those ultimates, and Aurora has spawned back in with the Stygian Torment as well.
This is, this is a tailor-made Jade Dragons composition, isn't it, for the way that they want to play the game, where you get someone who can force a fight in Thor for Final K, Scream and Pagon. Scream, of course, has some good setup as well. Pagon wants to W key as a player. Hard to do that on mages a good bit of the time.
True.
Pele is able to just fly in there and get the job done. And honestly, in the current meta, I think Panda Cat probably just fine playing a mage out of duo. I get a break from the hunters every once in a while. I can rain damage. I'm 2, 3, and 10 on a team with someone with 6 kills and 7 kills, and I'm top damage. And so the stat player in Panda Cat probably feeling just fine.
I want to see him pop the frenzy, then ult, and see how much the damage climbs, because he's been doing it like
right. We're gonna have to keep our mind on it. So like 19,000 or so right now for Panda. I'm sure he'll get a little poke damage around the next engagement. Once that diamond fills back up, we're gonna have to take a tally of where his damage stands. I mean, because that's something the Titans have to worry about as far as itemization as well, right? You got all these assassins jumping on you. And then there's Panda Cat, who's well underway in his build, and his ultimate alone should shred some of the squishies.
Yeah, and another thing about Nuwa is that she can apply Divine Ruin to every single person on the map.
Right.
And I think it affects just about everyone. I mean, Paul's got some good healing. You can see the Bumbus Hammer from Layers, as well as SOT's got lifesteal. Like, everyone is feeling the brunt of that anti-heal. So it's going to start to work out, especially if you lead a fight with that ultimate. Panda Cat's coming through, but Layers was trying to wrap around here. This Tier 2 tower is being defended, as Sot actually ults in.
We're bear Mike forward as well. There's Frenzy. Panda Cat, 19,000 damage. That climbs 3,000 or so. Up goes Final K. Anvil of Dawn looking for a landing spot. Layers is the target. Final K and Layers scrapping, but ultimately it's the Phoenix that the Jade Dragons had their eyes on. They'll get it. They'll get it cleanly. There's no answer from the Titans.
Yeah, all that was Panda Cat popping the frenzy and ulting. He went from 19,000 to 22,000. And it doesn't look like much, but 3,000 off of everyone as a whole really does start to add up. That netted the tier 2 going down, as well as that Phoenix dropping. It was just so much DPS coming here from the Jade Dragons. Pagon and Scream were able to hold on to ultimates as well. That was the fear of Anvil of Dawn. And then just a well-placed wall from Polar Bear Mike. Gets the Phantom Shell out of Aurora and a full-on retreat. Now the Jade Dragons grouped up on the left. They don't have too many ultimates, but I'd say Palau alone is enough to intimidate the likes of the Tartarus Titans, who have held on to all their ults except for SOTs.
That's right. Dragons now, with a gust of wind at their sails, but only 33 seconds left on the Fire Giant buff, have a decision to make. The decision?
They dropped anchor.
They
picked it back up.
They pick up the anchor, but they're going to drop it back in base prior to moving back to the FG. Gold Fury now the answer to fully get themselves confident. Unfortunately for Mifflin's gold stat, we are way beyond 5K. We're looking at 13 or so thousand for the Jade Dragons. What a treat, isn't it? Like when the Jade Dragons are able to play this type of comp and make it look like this. They look near unstoppable.
He's not going to ult? I really thought Panda Cow was going to ult. I bet he's going to buy an item in base and then ult, because he's got plenty of time before fire's up. You know he wants to keep pushing his damage numbers. He's done it consistently. It is smart. It is smarter just to hold it. Don't get me wrong. It is a great safety tool, but it just seems like he doesn't care.
Oh, that was massive stun from Fine OK as well. Such great setup. Unfortunate. Didn't result in a big sweeping team fight win, but the moment that massive wall stun from Fine OK rolled out, the rest of the Tartarus Titans backpedaled their way away. And I wonder what the answer is here, Trelly. I mean, you have lost 4 members if you're the Titans, even 5 when Aurora fell for the Deicide in every one of the last fights. You're handedly down, you're missing a mid lane Phoenix.
Sheesh.
And the Dragons can take the fight to you. I don't know if you can afford to step up.
No, definitely not. It's going to be difficult at the very least. You have to send someone over to that mid wave. It looks like the Jade Dragons don't have an exact idea of where the Titans are, but they recognize probably in the enemy jungle as PBM leads this fight. A Riptide into a good River's Rebuke could be enough to force out that Phantom Shell from Aurora, or at the very least, get some relics down.
Still keeping my eyes on Panda's damage.
Yeah, I'm wondering when he's going to send it out. He does have to hold on to that ultimate, because I think Paul and Layers do have that 100-0 potential if they can close gap onto this Nuha. So probably smart to leave it at least until the team fight starts. But was able to finish up that build with the Soul Gem, so does start to add up. All that poke damage coming from the Nuwa, especially that Divine Ruin. It can be annoying. Mike will start the siege, but Paul has been the first one up in this fight, trying to get some vision on the FG.
Well, it makes sense. Sot's the one who goes mid, starts to deal with some of these minions. He'll have ult. Defender of Olympus to crash down into the fight if need be. Aurora could be the target, though. That's a stun from Polar Bear Mike and good damage out of Pagon. Scream. Eyes for the back line. My goodness, damage from Panda Cat seals Stewart's fate. The Jade Dragons kill off the ADC, the Titans, and they do it with ease. Now Layers caught in the River's Rebuke will gallop back through the Jade Dragons composition. The Dragons may have to just settle with the 1 before heading back to Fire Giant, 5 seconds away from Enhanced.
I mean, don't get me wrong, that was a beautiful wall by PBM, but I think Layers held that Joust field for the perfect time so that he could still ride the momentum right as the walls came down. Any longer, and he probably dies there. But this is Enhanced Fire Giant, Dave. 30 minutes and 10 seconds in. They're able to grab that one. One more tier tower to look for on the right side of the map, as well as that mid Phoenix did just spawn in.
It sure did. So that's a simple target for the Jade Dragons as well. Stewart, for 15 seconds, still dead. I mean, the problem is it takes a minute to get into melee range of these objectives, because your long range, your ranged auto attacks are a Nuwa. But once this happens and the Jade Dragons can cleanly get onto it, they drop quickly. And so the Dragon's able to drop right side Phoenix before Stewart even respawns. Mid lane Phoenix should be short to follow. Potentially just waiting River's Rebuke, the only ultimate on the Dragon side that's down.
Yeah, but it looks like trying to defend as much as possible. Scream already goes in, and SOT takes a little bit of damage, but here comes Fine OK.
Yeah, I wonder who Fine OK is looking for here. Is it SOT? No, because Pagon's already gotten the kill. Paul ends up walking into the Anvil of Dawn, as target priority from Fine OK has been near perfect this game. Double tap onto Stewart, and Aurora left alone. Stygian Torment, as good as it may be, will not secure your safety. The Jade Dragons, with a ridiculous composition, steamroll the Tartarus Titans in game number 1. Final ends on a rampage. Pagon ends on a triple. And Jade Dragons fans, they're licking their chops after a big game 1.
And the worst part about it is, Dave, if I'm the Tartarus Titans and I'm trying to dissect what just happened and how I stop that comp from coming through, I don't know what to target.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, everything looks so good. Pagon on the Pele, that could be a place to start for sure. I would say Panda Cat was one of the few that actually could die in the early. This Nuwa was essentially just an ult bot, but she was top damage. That's something that could be super annoying to deal with as well. I can't tell if it's all the individual pieces or the team as a whole.
Yeah.
The Tartarus Titans have some thinking to do, and I'm glad I'm not in the booth trying to help them.
Yeah, ban that comp entire, just all five of your bans are just that team comp, I guess. You know, because the more you think about it, because you and I were sort of joking at the beginning, we were like, what kind of tone are the Jade Dragons coming in with here today? But as we saw Final K's build sort of round out, and the more we started thinking about it, we're like, this is just a double assassin comp, but a mage instead of an ADC to diversify that damage out a little bit, and it works perfectly for the Jade Dragons. That is a crazy game number 1. Time for the Titans to find some answers, change things up, and pick some bans. We'll see what they can get done in game number 2 coming up next.
Call to action for the Jade Dragons was to go ahead and run it down, get this triple assassin comp going, and that's exactly what the Jade Dragons did. But now I've got a call to action for you at the fans, and that's to go over to shop.hi-rezstudios.com/SPL and check out the great jerseys that we have for our players and for you, the fans at home. If you go over there, you can pick one up to represent your favorite team, or if you just like the way that one of the jerseys looks, go ahead and pick one of those ones up as well. It's the best way to support your favorite teams and to show that you're representing them if you do come out to the SWC all the way in January. So thank you so much to Skulls for providing the jerseys for our players and for our fans at home. Game number 1, Jade Dragons, well, they ran it down. It took them a little while to kind of get the ball rolling there. Then they ran into a stumble around the goal. Fury ended up getting decided by the Titans, and I kind of figured, okay, well, maybe this is where we see the Titans come back. No, the Jade Dragons just came back even more upset about that and ended up ending out the game.
Yeah, I mean, the Jade Dragons legitimately won that game twice. There was that massive team fight where they essentially kill Ford, I want to say like the 8-minute mark. The lead gets mitigated by that Gold Fury fight you're talking about, and then they had to redo it all once more. But games like this are so difficult to analyze because it legitimately is just the Jade Dragons running it down everywhere on the map, just trying to catch the Tartarus Titans off guard. I mean, once you're 3-4 levels up in each individual role, it's pretty difficult to lose out in some of these team fights, and especially with Panda Cat doing 3,500 damage every single ultimate, like every 40 seconds it felt like. So instead, I'll regale you with the story. I went into the Jade Dragons booth after they had won their match, and Mike's in there alone. And I say to Mike, what's going on here? Why have you done this? And he looks me dead in my eyes, not a hint of humor, and says, I got Yamoja first pick, and then every single one of my teammates tried their absolute best to freak my draft. They tried their absolute best to ruin my composition. And then Pagon walks in the room, and I am directly quoting here. Pagon says, I have never played Pele mid before, ever. Maybe a ranked game. And then Sprack walks in the room, that's Scream for the uninitiated, and he has not played Daji in scrims. Fido K hasn't played Thor since last time we'd see him play it competitively. This is the Jade Dragons as a group of Giga Chads just coming into the studio, playing things they've never done, and making it look easy. How do you prepare for stuff like this? When you play things in scrims, it gets around the scene. You get to hear about it. You hear rumblings. Hey, Nuwa's been something Panda Cat's been doing. It hasn't, by the way. He also confirmed he hasn't done this at all. So how do you prepare? What are you gonna? How do you strategize against something that's never been done before, even in practice? You don't. You simply don't. The Jade Dragons take a draft that has an incredibly narrow win condition, and they just do it to them.
And they just keep getting away with it, too.
They can't keep getting away with it, man.
That might be the worst part, is they just keep getting away with it. This is twice now in 2 sets that they have done this. They've come out with these drafts, and it's the tiniest margin for win, and they nail it. They hit the bullseye every single time. They did it in game 1. They'll see if they can do it in game number 2. Picks and bans roll through very quickly. Vulcan, Erlong Shen, Ymir banned away by the Dragons. Titans take away Yamoja, Daji, and Hades. That at least opens Cernanos for a first pick for the Dragons and brings maybe a little bit of normalcy to the composition, at least for now.
Yeah, so when I was talking to the Dragons, I actually talked to the Titans first. They're all locked in. They had strategized perfectly for this, and essentially P's and B's, as far as first pick, has gone exactly as they predicted. CERN for the Jade Dragons should give them a little bit of pressure. I believe we will likely see them leave Ishtar available here, the Tartarus Titans, that is. You don't necessarily need to pick it up for yourself, and if you force the Jade Dragons into a double Hunter composition, if the Dragons feel threatened enough that they want to take that pick for themselves, I would say that's more in line with the standard, which is still better for the Tartarus Titans. At least you've practiced against double Hunter drafts. So where do you go elsewhere?
Athena.
Maybe you just continue to lock in some of your safer picks. Athena doesn't really have too many poor lane matchups. So go for that. And I think that was one of the silver linings for the Titans, where the couple of team fights where SOT could just swing numbers in favor of his team. And then Set locked in too. I wonder how this one goes, because the Pele versus Set matchup just didn't look fun. Maybe the Jade Dragons just go back to it.
Atlas, potentially 3 different people that could be playing this one. Fine, okay, if he wants to in solo, Mike in support, or if Scream is feeling it for whatever reason to try and take mid away from Pagon and play it, always a possibility.
And somehow it feels like it is possible, but these guys are stone-faced. Imagine rolling up, clowning dudes on stuff you've never done, and like not reacting. I'd be cheesing right now.
Pele with the Atlas. Again, doesn't really...
I know nothing.
That does not help us. The only thing that this confirms for us is that there's a Cernanos, an Atlas, and a Pele for the Jade Dragons. As to wherever the rest of it goes, unknown. Tartarus Titans, Ishtar picked up. That one likely going back over to Stewart to try and maybe get himself a better game number 2 up against the Jade Dragons. We jump into the banning phase now. What do you even do as a Titans? I think maybe this is the best call. Just ban what's really good in the meta and just pray that the Jade Dragons try and go with some normalcy.
Yeah, maybe ban Thor here, just in case. That Thor was really stifling, I believe, at around the 20-minute mark. Final K putting a 6-1 on the board, finds 4-man walls and great dunks, initiating those fights and getting involved in the mid 3v3. And it does match at least a little bit of the global presence that Athena has got, so it could be a ban that the Titans are considering with their last one. I don't know, man. I want to say that it is Atlas mid. I don't know why. I don't know what's now, bringing that to, and I think it's the Scratless at that.
I was about to say, now do you think it's the Pagon Atlas mid or is it the Spracklet Atlas mid?
I can't trust a single thing that comes out of these Dragons' mouths, man, because when I talk to him, Pagon says he's the best Atlas on the team, and then Scream starts guffawing like an anime villain whose plan is going correctly. How am I to read it? These guys came in and they didn't have a plan. How am I to predict them?
And the best part is, I can see all of this conversation happening and picturing each and every one of them saying it with that same level of emotion you gave them. There's the Thor band that you were calling for. Good call by the Titans.
Broken clock twice a day, you know.
Well, honestly, that build by Final K was kind of gross. Runeforge first item, kind of raised eyebrows, throw a Manticore Spike afterwards. He's doing some pretty chunky damage up against them. Fenrir will be the next selection for the Tartarus Titans. Nuwa being hovered. I didn't trust it last time, and the Jade Dragons picked it up and made me second guess it. I'm still not fully trusting it, even though they literally just played it last game, just because the Cernanos is already there. If the Pele is going back into the mid, where do you throw this new off it gets selected? I'm not sure quite yet, so maybe we go over to the Titans instead, Mifflin. And is there something maybe missing from this Titans composition that you'd like to see them pick up with that last selection?
Whew, just standard Guardian, I suppose, assuming that Athena is going over to the Soul Lane, so you want someone that can facilitate the rest of the map while Athena is gearing up throughout the early. Couldn't say exactly what I would want because Fenrir has thrown me for a loop. Worth noting that Fenrir has got a pretty decent matchup with Athena. Just, I call it like the Frisbee retriever. Pick someone up, and you've got a giant Frisbee around you that Fenrir can run down and slam you with as Athena dunks down, so some potential there. I couldn't tell you, man. The Jade Dragons, I'm just so intrigued by their draft. Enthralled, in fact. If it is a Nuwa lock-in, that puts CERN mid Pele jungle Atlas support?
Question mark.
Do you love an Atlas Nuwa lane? Not particularly, but I don't like Nuwa in any lanes ever, and it just works.
Let's say, did you like a Yamoja Nuwa lane from the last time around?
Well, yeah, because Yamoja's like that good.
That's fair, that's fair. Well, for the moment, straying away from the Nuwa, at least in the initial hover, Camazotz, maybe for the Jade Dragons, something that Final K has been running over in the Soul Lane a little bit more recent. Poseidon being hovered. Poseidon locked in. Camazotz still the hover for the Dragons, but with how little time they've got left on their bank time, seems that the Bat will be the final pickup for the Dragons. Does this help you at all, Mifflin? Or no?
If it were any other team, yes, I would feel confident in the allocations of these gods for their roles, but because it's the Jade Dragons, you have to consider that it might be Atlas mid. You have to consider that it might be Poseidon jungle, because Scream just loves that pick. Yeah, you have to consider that it might be Pele mid. Camazotz, I think, guaranteed solo. CERN might be mid. Anything could be mid. We've seen players on the Jade Dragons like not be able to play 3 roles and then they're not on the Jade Dragons anymore. So like any of these picks can go to any of the roles. I don't know.
Ares for the Tartarus Titans will be the final pickup for that team. So that one very likely going over to Aurora. So the Athena back for SOT one more time. Fenrir in the jungle. 4 layers. So nearly a full run back of this composition. Obviously a couple of things having to change up on the bottom 2 for the Tartarus Titans. So kind of just looking at the initial team fight of these two out there, do you kind of push it one way or the other for one of these squads, Mifflin?
I think the Jade Dragons have the potential to lock in a super standard composition with Atlas support, CERN ADC, Poseidon mid, Pele jungle, Camazot solo. That's the standard. And if that's the case, I think their late game teamfight is very strong. They've got good dive potential, great AoE DPS to follow up off of CC from Atlas or even from CERN. So I think the Jade Dragons are capable of playing at just about every portion of the game with this draft, as it is piecemeal standard, but maybe not standard based on the allocation of the gods. Whereas the Tartarus Titans, I think, have got themselves a very Titans draft. I would imagine they like to play through the duo lane so that SOT on this Athena can get involved in early team fights around level 5. Purple buff invades, just have the numbers advantage, could be a good tool for them. Otherwise, Set's going to be your late game hyper carry. Ishtar scales very well. The only concern I really have is this Fenrir and how well it's able to perform. It's got okay matchup into the Pele in particular. The Brutalize doesn't really have a great answer from Pele. But if Pele's fighting around Poseidon, well, Brutalize just doesn't really work.
So maybe some decent answer in that regard, as some potential mid 2v2 fights could break out, again, depending on where this Poseidon, where this Pele lands. And the reason that we bring that up is because, again, it is the Jade Dragons. You never know where these teams are going to go out. They always keep you guessing out there. If we're going based on standard, potentially seeing that Poseidon Pele as the 2v2 for Pagon and Scream on those ones up against against Tartarus Titans, who've gone for the Set and the Fenrir. So a lot of burst damage that could come through between these two assassins. A lot of very early potential kill pressure from there. Mifflin, for the Tartarus Titans, what do they need to do to try and push back the Jade Dragons and maybe give themselves a better chance of making it to that late game team fight?
I think that you can't allow the Jade Dragons to get rolling, and that's so much easier said than done. But if you can get aggressive on your own, have a lane that performs well throughout the first 2 or 3 waves, and then have the Tartarus Titans focus their own pressure, and I think it really will be around that duo lane, that's one way in. Just make sure the Jade Dragons are forced to play reactively so that they're not, running down your red buff as 5 or showing up at your speed buff as 3. And then you can utilize the numbers advantage that Athena affords you to every single engagement. I think this is a draft from the Tartarus Titans that is very capable of playing proactively, a draft that is also very capable of essentially doing exactly what the Jade Dragons had done in Game 1, which is to just absolutely maul you throughout the early. If Set's able to establish a lead, I think that is a guaranteed win condition for the Titans, and we've seen that plenty in the past from Paul. But it's so hard to catch the Jade Dragons early. It's so hard to beat them at their own game. That is the strength of the Jade Dragons and their play style. Every game, the one thing that isn't common is that you have to play the early. You can't avoid it. Not every game goes late, but every game does start at the 0-minute mark. And the Jade Dragons are just the best to do it at that time.
And the Jade Dragons are always a team, when we talk about other teams in the league, whether it be finding their identity, kind of trying to repurpose and rebuild themselves, we always say that the Jade Dragons are such a hard team to fight against because they are that run-it-down early style of play. They are from minute 1, they are the PvP team where other teams are trying to get the PvE more than anything else.
You guys want scorpions?
Yeah.
Nerds.
Yeah, we're going to kill you and then take your scorpion after. We'll see if the Jade Dragons can keep the ball rolling in Game 2 or the Tartarus Titans going to shut it down and take us to Game 3. We'll find out with Dulcin and Trelly.
A little bit of craziness in Game 1. Maybe chills out here prior to Game number 2. That said, only in draft. The Jade Dragons still a team that can run at you early. The Tartarus Titans also a team that can bring some fun early on into the game. They need to do it if they still want a chance at top 2 by the end of phase number 3. Alternatively, the Jade Dragons would love to just clean things up. There is a bit of intrigue, though, Trelly. It'll be Scream on Poseidon jungle and Pagon on the Pele mid for supposedly the second time in his SMITE career ever. So things remain a bit unique for the Jade Dragons.
And that is what we came to see. I mean, if I spawned into this game and I saw Pagon on the Poseidon and Scream on the Pele, I'd be thoroughly disappointed because that means that the Jade Dragons didn't keep us guessing and they went with something traditional.
You know what I wonder?
Lay it on me.
Oh, this is so unique. I mean, this gets into a big conversation. I wonder if the Jade Dragons play this type of stuff at Worlds.
Yeah, I think so.
You know what I mean? Because it's such a unique situation where are you sticking with this type of stuff that found you success in the regular season?
Yeah.
Or are you cooling it down for the main stage, realizing there's less room for error? You know, I wonder how the Jade Dragons end up drafting come Worlds time.
I think they're a confident group of players, and they're going to play any 5 picks they want at any given moment because they think
like draft 1, game 1, that draft. You think you could see it? You theorize?
If they lose game number 1, that changes absolutely everything. But I think that changes, in most things. Like for example, in like tennis, you go for your first serve, it's like 100 miles per hour. Then you go, oh, I hit the net. Okay, let's dial it back. Like that. That's kind of the vibes. If you're losing game 1, same sort of thing. I think because the Jade Dragons are up, they're feeling confident.
Yeah, we'll see when the Jade Dragons get to Worlds, barring maybe one of the craziest upsets ever. The Jade Dragons will make their way to the world stage, potentially, with some of these unique matchups. And I want to talk about the jungle matchup in this one, Trelly. Pagon and Scream started red, went over to speed. Now Scream rotates over to left to pick up the scepter for the Jade Dragons. Pacing-wise, you've got a Poseidon jungle. I have to imagine at level 5, just like a Poseidon mid or anywhere else, that Kraken increases your kill pressure. But are you ganking a lot on this Poseidon jungler, or are you just hoping to play around objectives with your teams?
I think you're running to farm, trying to get to 5 as quickly as possible, and after you make it to 5, yeah, you're looking for your gank opportunities. SOT has made himself a great option to get aggressive onto because of that teleport. We talked about it last game. He went with the blink and the beads. Didn't quite work out. He was still able to do big damage, but it looks like this time around he wants to teleport. That means he doesn't have Aegis. So if Scream wants to get active on the right side of the map, Whirlpool into Kraken, especially with the Book of Thought start SOT went for, is going to net himself a kill if Final K is there to follow up.
You would think. That then, to your point, Trelly, maybe put some pressure onto SOT to help out the Titans early in this game. And I wonder if that's what that change is, because in game 1, still Athena, but the Dragons just steamrolled the rest of the map early. Sot never felt fully comfortable rotating out of lane, realizing Fino was just going to get left there on the Thor, and he'd be able to farm up. I wonder if Teleport suddenly makes you a bit more willing to impact the rest of the map. Defender of Olympus elsewhere, and then just teleport back into lane and help out the Titans in that type of way. I just find it so funny that Des talking about it, and I can confirm what Mifflin was saying. Final K kind of laughed, and he was like, yeah, look, like, we believe in, I was talking to him after the game, he was like, look, we like believe in the team comp, we knew it could work, but none of us have ever played those picks together in the SPL. And so it was theory and then confidence that brought that game 1 draft. But it's a bit of a different look for Fino here on this Camazotz Thor, more of a dunk-in, set-up, stun style of God, where Camazotz does a lot of chasing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, it takes a lot of confidence in your teammates to make calls like that. As Scream is making the wraparound here. Roar's only level 3, so you got to think Kraken's going to net a kill, but who's it going to be? It looks like the Ares is the call.
It's on to Aurora, and there's plenty of damage. Scream strolls into the duo lane, drops a Kraken, and Aurora will stay at level 3. Perfect start for the Jade Dragons and this Poseidon jungle.
Pandacat is never one to shy away from the laugh spam, no matter what game he's in on the Cernos. Even though he had absolutely nothing to do with that kill, he's going to give you a good laugh in the process.
Well, hold on. Take a look at the assist column.
No, I'm aware that he was there.
No. Take a look at that assist column. You got an assist?
Yeah.
But you're saying nothing to do with it.
I'm saying if Scream doesn't walk up and crack in the level 3 Ares, the level 3 Ares doesn't die.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm not saying Pandacat's bad. It's just, he's going to laugh.
Well, I didn't say that either.
Yeah, no one would. That'd be a lie.
It'd be a wrong argument.
Yeah. And he's just going to laugh as if he was the one who got
But
the
the
kill.
assist was a bit of a handout to Panda for simply being in the vicinity of that play.
Exactly. I'm saying if Pandacat backed for some reason before that fight,
it would have made no difference.
Scream still kills Ares. And look, you can tell Aurora's, hold that thought. No time to talk.
Oh, it's Pagon who's over here onto Aurora now. Wild Hunt. Oh, no, the Ares. Brutal start to game number 2 for Aurora. I suppose this is the threat, Trelly, that an Ares brings. We see it with Ymir sometimes, just getting jumped on. Relatively immobile. Ares immobile. Not level 5 yet, no CC immunity. Look, he's had to pivot his build to start off.
That's
this
what I'm saying.
Tough sledding.
He wanted to go the Pythag. Was like, hey, I've got an idea. Let's stop the early aggression. I'll go Ares. I'll go Blink. I'll go damage. He died once. He said, so Gauntlet of Thebes or Mail of Renewal, that looks pretty good. Unfortunately, he died again. And now you're just hoping you can stay on her tower and keep Stewart relatively even, if possible. That's got to be the new plan because, as it stands, Ares not going to be too tanky. It's also, hold that thought, Layers comes through, gets the kill on the Scream with help from Sot. and that Defender of Olympus.
Oh, and it's perfect. It's perfect timing for the Titans. Layers gets aggressive. Sot's able to ult in, and slowing down Scream had the Kraken back up. You had to imagine was on his way to one of the lanes here, and that likely slows down the impact that this Poseidon jungle is going to have, and also gets Layers off to a good start. On this Fenrir Trelly, obviously our eyes go to Poseidon jungle, but Fenrir jungles rose in popularity a bit here as of late. 4 sets of beads, though, for Layers and that Ragnarok to compete with.
Yeah, let me be clear. If I even get a chance to, Stewart's dash gets caught out. Beautiful route, and now the height has to come through. The bead's going down. They're still chasing this.
Mike might have, I was going to say on a follow-up rotation of abilities, might have enough damage, but won't get the chance because Paul is here.
He's still going.
Yeah, but it's Mike, this is Mike we're talking about. It's the same thing he does at level 1. It's just like 5 levels later. So with Layers, with this Fenrir to go back to it, although Stewart's still half HP. No, Mike will just watch him walk by. Are there any lanes in your mind more susceptible to a Fenrir early in this game than others?
I mean, I like exactly what Layers did there because I think Poseidon is someone that Fenrir can bully extremely hard in the early, and also with help of Defender of Olympus. If you're getting Kraken, you got those mitigations, but the big burst of damage that's going to come through from the Book of Thoth Slam is going to be enough to 100-0 Scream with the build he's got. I mean, just if you're maxing Brutalize and you got Defender of Olympus, that alone should be Poseidon's health bar, which Layers was able to pick up on pretty early in this game, grab a kill. And I wouldn't be surprised if he continues to do that. Look for this Poseidon in the jungle. Try and slow that rate of farm because you've got an Ares already. If you're getting 1 set of beads down, if Aurora's able to follow up with you, you got double blink, you should be able to match that pressure once again. Aurora's trying to find someone, but Pagon probably not the target. Volcanic Lightning is a good tool to get away from that Ares. Doesn't even need the beads in that regard.
Yeah, potentially a pretty good setup on beads as well, Trelly, because so often we have that conversation around Ares ult. Either, in the same way you talk about Fear No Evil with Hunbats, it's either it's burning all the beads or hopefully the beads are already down and you get a clean pull in. You got Ragnarok, you got Taunt from Sot, which I imagine will get a couple sets of beads throughout the course of this game. In Aurora, those 3, big potential for taking beads away. And you also have to imagine Sot will be able to outpace FineOK on early map pressure if he ults over to different parts of the map with the teleport, with Defender of Olympus and FineOK, just with the beads. Layers going for a similar play. It's the same exact play. Kraken down, Defender of Olympus in, but Scream, he's got help this time. Pagon and Mike answer the call. And speed buff not even stolen away. Sot goes back in, thinking he had enough damage, and he might have. But the Jade Dragon's right on time to defend their jungler.
I mean, that was close, man. Scream did pre-beats that bite, and Layers baited it out perfectly, unfortunately for Layers. Pagon was there as well. Now Aurora is going to blink in here with some follow-up from Paul. They're looking for Pagon.
Yeah, but is Pagon going to go down? He sure will. Paul with the double skewer, and then the double wild hunt from Panda Cat on the rotation in, but that's all the mana that Panda Cat has. It's simply auto attacks here. Mike's got to use the beads. But Scream walking forward, doesn't have Kraken. One last auto will get it, and Panda hits it. Ends up being a 1-for-1 on the second engage, unless Paul can get some more.
I think Scream wanted to take that fight right after the skewer missed. Poseidon's got a good chance of trying to outbox there, especially with that Trident popped, but not going to be the call. The brawl is not going to stop here. I like the aggression, and I said I was calling for it. But Layers going to the speed buff was a bit of a risky endeavor. Maybe thinking with help from Sot would have been just fine, but unfortunately that fight didn't work out too well. It was 2 dead. But then the rest of the Tartarus Titans were able to show up, get that pull onto Pagon, and Paul was able to pick up his first kill of the game. And of course Aurora's dying there, and I think Aurora knew, as an Ares, you're 0-3, you got the Mail of Renewal, you're going even into damage, you're probably setting up for the team and then dying throughout this fight. So that was a trade he's willing to take. 5-2, the Jade Dragon's still up, well over 2,000 gold at this point, but that's not going to stop the aggression, and that's not going to stop Aurora from trying to hit some of these chains.
No, but Aurora has been able to equalize, and XP had fallen a couple levels behind early in the game. And now falls just a bit behind Mike, but not the 2-3 level gap that we saw earlier. But again, Scream has pulled handedly ahead of Layers. Think back to game 1. Now that game, faster pace for Scream somehow. And the Jade Dragons, not by much, maybe if at all. But Layers was 2 levels behind in game 1. Call it a level and a half now as Scream was just 2 levels ahead. Feels like Scream has been getting a lot of farming and ganking done, and Layers has struggled to keep up.
Yeah, I think just the way that Poseidon operates at the moment, the Trident and the Doom Orb, just to make sure that you can zoom across the map, run to farm as quickly as possible, and having access to that Kraken, it's a really solid gank opportunity, especially over in a duo lane where Scream was able to get active first, find Aurora. And once again, it looks like Aurora and Stewart could be in some trouble here. Pagan doesn't care about Aurora, more so looking at Stewart.
These ganks are just so simple for the Jade Dragons. Won't get a kill onto Stewart this time. Instead, SOT over from solo lane, a pullback in, but doesn't slow down Pagan enough. Jump in from Layers and Brutalize. That'll be a kill back for the Titans. And Mike's been left alone with the Ragnarok. That's an important counter gank from the Tartarus Titans, and one that pays off in 2-for-1.
Scream is soloing the Pyromancer, though. Does he have the damage to actually get this without dying? Yes, he does. It's going to be close. He's going to have to crack it, yeah.
Oh, whew. All right, a couple more autos from the Pyro. Might have kept things scary, but Titans win a kill trade and get themselves the Gold Fury. But all that does is stabilize, because Jade Dragons steal a lot of farm on the right side of the map, pick up the Pyromancer as well. We're right at 2K gold at 12 minutes.
Yeah, all that to be 2,000 gold down. And I will say that the Jade Dragons, in game number 1, I liked their odds early, of course, and I thought their comp might get a little bit worse if the Tartarus Titans were able to get online. This time around, this isn't a comp that exceeds early and then falls off. I think Final K is only going to get better with time. He's always going to be extremely safe, as does Camazotz, and hasn't been a part of any of the kills so far for this team, as well as Scream. The Kraken's just going to get more valuable the more damage he's able to build. So I think that's going to help out a ton as this game continues. PBM's been in the forefront of these fights, and I think he's been getting the recent. Just, the CC immunity is something he realized he probably would need. So it goes for the beads and the Magi's. I imagine Magi's Shelter coming here soon for Polar Bear Mike. That'll help this Atlas get in and out of the fights without having to worry about the Ragnaroks or Aurora's no escape. All of those things could be some trouble. Zot with the beads, and he'll be out just fine.
Sad to have to use the beads, though, and also limits what the relatively squishy Athena can do on the front line of some of these fights. Has teleport if he feels like it's needed, but tier 1 tower missing and a Trebuchet walking down that lane should be able to get back in time for a little bit of farm. Now, in a typical game, Trelly, with Pyro down, Gold Fury down, you're thinking, all right, we're stabilized, we're taking a deep breath for a few minutes. But the Dragons have been so effective at forcing fights, forcing leads, when there's really not all that much to be fought over. And literally isn't. There's nothing up on this side of the jungle except for now this blue buff, where FineOK, PBM, and Scream will put a little bit of pressure, steal away a little extra farm from the Titans. And that's where the minutia of this gold lead can build up. But Panda Cat unhappy with what's happening here. Though the Wild Hunt was good, the damage from the Titans simply better. And it's continuing. Pagan has gone in for some reason. The Titans happy to see it. And a Kraken down onto Layers. Chunks the damage. FineOK's got the last bit. Stun from Stewart needed because Scream left running out of the back of the fight. But FineOK's got Bat Out of Hell to chase down these low health targets. The Jade Dragons might be able to fight back in. Right now down in numbers, but they'll equalize the fight at a 3-for-3.
FineOK's got the triple kill. Looks like PBM and FineOK wanted to go for the quad, but Stewart full HP with the shell. No way. He was diving underneath that tower. And that all starts with a great engage from Paul. This set is doing a ton of damage, pretty much 100 to zeros. And then Pagan decides, hey, I can help you, Panda Cat. I'll ult in. Unfortunately, he could not help and gets pulled back in by Aurora time and time again. A little bit stuck out of position. And losing 2 could have been bad. Scream gets a good Kraken on the Layers, and of course, FineOK shows up to clean up the rest of that fight. So not terrible for the Jade Dragons, but it is shown that Paul on this set can be a dominant force here for the Tartarus Titans. 3-0-2 so far, has a level lead over Pagan in the mid lane currently. And I think he's sitting just fine on this set. This is what I was talking about, though. You don't want to be the first one in unless, an escape's down, there's some CC, some lockdown. If you could get in, get out, that's the playstyle this set wants to go for. That's the playstyle Paul wants to go for anyways. But Layers has found out Pagan, no beads available, and Ragnarok is up.
Paul's so strong at this point in the game. Can the Titans rally around their storied mid laner? Ends up being the question. How many times have we seen Titans or SK, PK, teams of old that have needed Paul to step up? The weight of Game 2 Jade Dragons Week 7 SPL, maybe a bit different from World's Finals, but still a moment where Paul can make something happen for the rest of his team. Remember, I mean, of course not as weighty as a World's Finals, but if the Titans have their eyes on top 2, a loss here effectively seals the deal that they cannot break into that top 2 and will have to win 2 sets instead of just 1 at Phase 3 playoffs to make their way to the quarterfinals of the SMITE World Championships. But a team, I think, that favors their odds one way or another at getting there. But any way to make their life easier would be good. And coming back here against the Jade Dragons would make your life easier. And we're getting dangerously close to that next rotation of Pyro and Primal. And one thing we haven't really talked about so much with Scream, of course, the Kraken down for damage, but Kraken in moments like this, to secure big objectives, the Kraken's got to be on point, and it gobbles up the Fire Giant. Sot ults over from solo, but he just put himself right in the mix with the Jade Dragons, who get FG on 5. Do not scratch your eyes. It's 16.5 minutes for the Jade Dragons. All 5 get FG. Aurora will be chased down, and the onslaught continues.
I mean, Stewart's still over on the left side of the map. I imagine the Jade Dragons just fine trying to chase this one down. Beautiful blink in from Fine. Okay, the Whirlpool traps in Sot, and he's fallen down as well. The Jade Dragons, as you said, 16 minutes in, and it looks like they want some tier 2 towers, and they're going to go for it.
I mean, this is just such a ridiculous brand of Smite that the Jade Dragons play in the best way possible. It is such an entertaining brand of Smite where this team does not rest on their laurels. I mean, they're having some fun here today. We've seen a diversity of win conditions for the Dragons over the year, over the phase, but this is the type of set that the Dragons have made their name off of, and it is just constant pressure. I say we don't even need to worry about our late game if we're just going to blow you out of the water in the first 17 minutes. They are 6,000 or so gold ahead with Fire Giant on 5, with a Pyromancer pickup and potentially a Primal Fury on the other side. Trelly, are the Titans just hoping for level 20 and a fumble from the Jade Dragons at this point?
I mean, they're certainly hoping to get to late game, that's no doubt. But as we've seen time and time again, sieging with a composition like this can be a bit difficult. I think the defense that the Tartarus Titans have can certainly be something they want to fall back to. With an Athena, Sot can be that consistent engage. The unfortunate truth is this teleport, I think, has hurt Sot a lot more than it's helped him.
Yeah, you got to get rotational value out of it, right? And
yeah, he's 1, 4, and 2. Doesn't have that blink engage that you'd love. You can blink in, taunt, dash out if you're really in trouble. But Sot does not have that luxury. If he dash taunts, he's being met with the engage, the Wild Hunt, the Kraken, any bit of damage the Jade Dragons have. And underneath that Phoenix, you sort of need that engage, right? You need Aurora and SOT to stand at the forefront of these fights and stall, make plays, and just open up the doors for their 1-0 carry, Stewart, who's got some crit online, would love to get that Deathbringer before the Phoenix gets knocked on. And more specifically, Paul, the 3-0 set, level 17. That's who they're trying to set up for. That's who they're trying to make plays for.
Yep.
But with everyone on the right side of the map, the Jade Dragons got to feel pretty confident as walking into this left side bird.
Yeah, Stewart's been an absolute farming menace this game. Was top XP per minute, is now, but battling it out with Fine OK. Into that crit, Spectral Armor picked up for Fine OK, but crit will hit the squishies hard. Scream, Pagon, Panda Cat. Gonna have a hard time fully melting through Stewart, though a Kraken, might just insta-gib this Ishtar, depending on where it's placed from Scream. Already good macro decisions from the Jade Dragons. Are gonna pick up about 4,000 gold already on this Fire Giant push. But also pretty good decision-making from the Titans, realizing they don't stand much of a chance underneath the Tier 1s. The Tier 2s push out some of the Jade Dragons towers in the meantime. Though with 30 seconds left, Trelly, I think the Jade Dragons have maximized what they could do with that Fire Giant timer. Probably not going to see a Phoenix Siege at the exact 20-minute mark. Maybe just reset for one more Fire Giant with all of that extra gold and momentum in the back.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the smart call. You can see PBM recognized, hey, we're 9,000 gold up, and that's all well and good, but it's only 20 minutes into the game, and I don't have enough physical defense to tank up a tower, tank up a Phoenix nonetheless. So starts building into that breastplate to help out in that regard. No Emp Armor or anything like that. I think Fine OK is a decent target. to try and tank up that objective, but the second that he goes into battle, hell, your carries are going to start getting hit by that Phoenix, and that's never what you want. So Polar Bear Mike is going to have to be the sole tanker if they do want to go in for the Phoenix. Probably a smart call to wait for this next Fire Giant. That'll be up in 50 seconds.
Yep.
The Tartarus Titans are grouped. We've seen time and time again they try the wraparound. It does not look like that's what they're going for here. Stewart does go back to base once that Deathbringer wants to do a bit more damage. They certainly are grouped on the left side of the map, though. I can't think that they're going for the whole way around, especially since they're dancing on wards. They didn't even bring any sentries for this play, so they're just trying to get as much farm as they can before that Fire Giant touches down in 20 seconds. Because of where Aurora and Layers are, it tells me I don't even think they're going to be trying to defend this one. It looks like just give up the Fire Giant, the second Fire Giant of the game, and our Phoenix Siege is where we're after. The Tartarus Titans feel confident in their defense, but not so much in their Fire Giant defense.
Yeah, I'm not sure I blame them. I am sure. I don't blame them. I'll amend that statement. You know, it's been a tough game for the initiators of the Tartarus Titans. When everything's going against you, Sot's had a really hard time finding complete consistency. A Kraken early in the FG shows you where the mindset is of the Jade Dragons. They know they're going to get this one for free. Let's just go ahead and drop it. He has Staff of Mirrodin, you know, it speeds up the process.
Yeah, get it back
down the
on
stretch.
cooldown
That's
quicker.
right. And the Jade Dragons get their second Fire Giant of the game at 22 minutes. But it's been so hard to go back for to it for Sot and for Aurora. I'm trying to think of the Ares ults I've seen this game.
No way. Panicat did it again. He built the Griffin Wing earrings again.
Yeah!
Last time he
I've
did
been
it.
begging for it.
Bro, last time he did it, we went, oh, Griffin Wing, that's so cool. He walked up, died at Phoenix, backed, sold it immediately. So we'll see. He sold the Death Toll for it. Let's see if the Griffin Wing gets some value again.
I'll see him auto. Yeah, look at that. Oh!
He's going to be chunking. Yeah, me and J-Mac made all sorts of jokes.
It's hit scan. Whoa!
Yeah, he'll be swinging, but I'm telling you.
Zooming.
He literally walked up, died, backed, and immediately sold it. Like within the first time he autoed
Yeah, but
someone.
clearly that, you know, clearly that didn't stick with him because he spotted it again here.
He is trying it again. Let's see what happens. I mean, I think last
Maybe
time.
he wants a challenge, and he's saying, I want to equalize. I want to equalize my build to Stewart's at this point in the game. And, thank you, Doug, he's picked up a Sunder as well. I mean, it is comically fast.
I'm pretty sure it's Billy today.
Oh, is it Billy today?
It's Billy today.
Appreciate you, Billy, for covering that for us. And appreciate Paul for making this Phoenix defense a bit more interesting. Massive pull from Aurora. Gets two, but also takes a couple beads away. And what is this? It's life from the Titans, but fine, okay. Wants to snuff it out underneath the Phoenix and might be able to do so, but no, Stewart has turned it around. The Jade Dragons have been blanked in this Phoenix siege. Panda Cat will be able to make it back to base, but the Titans fight outside of their Phoenix and catch the Dragons off guard.
You got to imagine that one feels pretty bad here for the Jade Dragons. They felt so confident. They felt so clean going into that Phoenix, and immediately Pagon getting snuffed out by Pagon. Good plays from Layers all around. The engage, that's what we've been waiting to see. It hasn't been there, but the Tartarus Titans were able to sniff it out. And now they're going to grab some gold in the meantime.
Does he sell it?
And I hate to tell you this. I mean, I think he might be selling. He still has one more item to go, so it would be actually just economically terrible for the Jade Dragons if he was to sell that item. But you got to think once he builds, I don't know, a Wind Demon, or actually in this case the Silver Branch, that could be a sell later on. But that siege did not go as planned. I mean, you can see Pagon still has Blink and Beads. Fine OK still has Blink and Beads. They didn't get the engage they wanted. The Tartarus Titans brought the fight to the Jade Dragons, and they weren't ready for it.
And really, truly, for the first time, we saw great payoff from the Ares ult. Two sets of beads. Take a look at Scream and Panda Cat. They're perfectly in sync with one another. And then also a double pull. Scream's in some trouble. Scream nearly one-shots Layers, but nearly not enough. 55 seconds on that death timer. Good news for the Dragons. Not much to fight over right now. In all likelihood, Titans considering a tower push, but Fire Giant still full 2 minutes from respawning. More sending a statement than anything else from the Titans.
No, Panda Cat's got that Fire Giant. He's going to do it all himself.
Yeah, that's true.
Look at those auto attacks.
And the Griffin Wing.
The second he left clicks, they show up.
I can't. They're too fast.
They are too fast.
That's like the you want to see me auto attack?
You want to see me do it again?
Want to see me do it again? I can't. You don't see it happen either time. I'm telling you, when that item first got announced, I was praying that it was just going to be super. I think it is super cool. I was praying that it was going to be built more often than it has been. So I'm hoping I don't care which team it's on. This has nothing to do with Panda Cat. I hope that we see some effectiveness out of it.
You know you can build it on Alquang?
Can you?
Yeah, does nothing, but you can build it.
Yeah, I guess with the magical.
Yeah, I've built it on him before. It does absolutely nothing, but it's fun to do. You just build it. People are like, oh, does that make your auto attacks like fat? Nope.
Nope.
It's none of that. It just, you just
Your
get
sword hits better.
It does.
I guess.
It makes you cooler, at the very least.
It does make you cooler. That's like not looking at the explosion.
Yeah.
You're walking away from the fight after beating the enemy team with an item that's done almost nothing for you. Well, I guess the stats are fine, but the projectile
you
speed.
get the base stats, but
Right.
your projectile speed does not change.
You had to have been ahead in that game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you were not. Panda's not building this if this game is super close, I have to imagine.
Well, unfortunately for Panda, it's becoming super close.
Yeah, right.
The Phoenixes did not go down.
Trelly, tell me when this game got close. Was it right around when Panda Cat bought Griffin Wing?
I would argue it's the second. Minutes after that item was purchased, this game got a little bit closer, and then Scream got picked, and then PBM lost his Magi's, everything going in favor of the Tartarus Titans. They have not had positioning around this objective yet this game, but the Tartarus Titans are stepping up, and no Jade Dragons are telling them to back away just yet.
Paul continues to be a mountain that is so difficult for the Jade Dragons to deal with. 5-0 for Paul on this set. Because so many of the kills mounted up. I mean, look at it. Look at it. 9 out of the 11 kills that the Jade Dragons have are on SOT or War. Layers, Paul, Stewart have been able to farm up, kick back, feel just fine throughout the rest of this game, and they've built up some kills of their own. On the flip side, a lot of the kills onto the Dragons have landed onto Scream and onto Pagon. But like a turtle poking its head out of its shell for the first time, Titans now poking around this fire giant. The tide's changing a bit here, Trelly. An uncontested pyro for the Titans. If you had told me 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, that's where we would be, I'd be surprised, but it shows you the fight that this Titans team has.
I'm just imagining them poking at little turtle shells now, but it looks like they are looking for a bit of a brawl. PBM walks forward, possibly looking for a pull. Remember, his Magi's was pulled, and now it's back up. SOT, you got to imagine,
just walk forward
would like to do that again, and does, but SOT gets picked up, and he's forced to beat.
That's right. Actually gets pulled out of the taunt, so Mike maintains his bubble. Stewart walks away. Oh, no, Paul! He's done it again. Paul is taking this game over, but now it's Panda Cat's chance. The damage back in from Panda and Fino K might be too much, but Stu has stood strong. Stu's got 3, and Stu's on a rampage. It's unreal from the Titans AD carry. What a brawl. And it suddenly looks like a game 3 could be around the corner.
Stewart absolutely popping off, but we got to give credit to Paul. He's been able to find the damage on this set consistently. And this is what we were talking about. I mean, the Jade Dragons were running the right side of the map. Where's Stewart? Where's Stewart? He was always on the left saying, hey, I'm going to farm up. Let me give full build. When I come through, don't worry, I'll carry. That was the plan. I could tell that's what Stewart was saying. And now he's 6-0 and doing just that. Fire Giant goes down for 3. Aurora and SOT are going to be able to hold that one. Final K looking for a possible kill on the Solar Troll, but Stewart's close by. I don't imagine he wants to fight this for too long, because here he comes.
He does not have that out of hell. Oh, and he might not have a chance to live. A sneaky gank from SOT and Aurora catches Final K off guard. The other 4 members of the Jade Dragons now respawning. And 3 members of the Titans maintain their FG buff. This one's standard Fire Giant. Jade Dragons may not be overly worried about it, but likely, Trelly, in this next push, in Oni Fury, a little bit more farm, we will be equalized in gold for the first time in about 29 minutes and 34 seconds when the Jade Dragons pulled ahead very, very early on. And builds start to get themselves closer to being finished. That said, we talked about it earlier on in the game. Still not a composition from the Dragons that is suddenly worse. I think it's about Scream being able to avoid Paul at the beginning of these fights.
Yeah, I would argue someone needs to deal with Paul. It seems like that choice has been dealt to Pagon. He did get the shutdown. Pagon was able to get the 6-0 shutdown onto Paul. But the unfortunate truth is, sending a melee assassin in to deal with the melee assassin usually means you're taking a lot of damage as well in the meantime. So it just seems like Paul's able to find these massive engagements, and then Stewart also dishing out that much damage. So Paul and Stewart need to be dealt with. Who is it going to be? At the moment, I don't think there's any answers because Stewart has not died yet. I think the front line's been doing a phenomenal job. SOT with these engages setting up. It's been taunt into Kingslayer, massive skewers coming through from set, and then the cleanup crew, which is Aurora and Stewart, has been just fine. The Tartarus Titans are going to grab 2 tier 2 towers of their own, one more on the right side of the map, and then that'll be the last of the towers taken away. A bunch of gold in hand, though, so I wouldn't blame the Tartarus Titans if they backed up after this tower went down, spent some of that gold to make it real. I mean, at the very least, you got 1,100 for SOT and everyone else, closer to 2,000. And once this tower goes down, it's going to go even higher. So probably a smart call, just a full-on retreat after that. They'll have a solid minute 30 with the Fire Giant that they can choose to do with what they want. But Phoenix Siege is still difficult for both of these teams. I mean, it's not as simple as get Fire Giant, walk up, probably waiting for EFG, and that's going to be another 2 minutes away.
Man, what a turnaround. Still Griffin Wing for
He doesn't have, if he got the Oni Fury, I bet he would try, but he's got no gold.
No, he simply does not, but did still put out some big damage numbers in that previous fight. Rest of the build fine, and again, the stats on it, good. But dodging the auto attacks is the big buff there.
I didn't realize Layers at 4,000 total damage.
Yeah.
Like, that's
all right,
half of what Aurora's doing.
Let's see if we can find a way to be fair to Layers here.
He's got 8 assists.
Does have 8 assists. Paul has melted down the targets before Layers is even there to deal the damage.
That's true. That's a good point.
Layers, on the flip side, has also been deleted so fast that he hasn't been alive to deal a lot of the damage.
It seems like, yeah, he's been the Ragnarok. Yeah, I'm going to eat the Kraken, but don't worry, I'll bring a free kill to you guys. So that's the call. Layers has been setting up for his team. Kind of like the Guan Yu, the same sort of play style where he's providing CCs, providing healing, and the team carries. I think that's been Layers' role as of recent. Like,
yeah, they shifted away from him as a win condition, it feels.
Yeah, facilitate Paul, and now facilitate Stewart. It's working so far. I mean, I guess not in game number 1, but here in game number 2, the Tartarus Titans came back from a massive deficit, now have themselves a gold lead, and now it's time to get set up for EFG once again because that regular Fire Giant just wore off. Notice the Jade Dragons are not going anywhere. That's not grouped up. Remember, Scream got ganked at the Fog over on the right side of the map last time. And they're not going to be walking away from each other without a group this time. Probably a smart call. They've got 100-0 potential from just about everyone on the Tartarus Titans.
Panic Cat.
There it is.
Has sold the Griffin Wing.
Fail not?
Void Shield. So he bought Void Shield. Actually, I think it paid off the last time we saw this. 35 physical prots, Trelly. Maybe you're riding that line from, you know, a couple more autos and a little bit more sustain.
He's clearly worried about Paul,
right,
Stewart,
the difference
Layers,
between Paul and Stewart insta-killing you and staying alive a bit further.
Yeah, he's got 2,500 HP now because that extra 150. One extra auto means you do one extra auto. Could be all he needs, right? And that could be the mindset, or at the very least, he wanted to get rid of the Griffin Wing, and that's more so what he was focused on.
I think he's sad that we've pointed it out that he had it ever at all. Now he
would stop buying it if he was really that sad. Let's be honest.
Right, all he cares about is that the final build will show Void Shield, right?
Yep.
This is his last, hopefully the last screenshot.
The last
that he's
hurrah.
got. Could be the last hurrah here in game 2, depending on how it drops. Paul, watch out. Over in mid, wrapping behind the Jade Dragons is the goal. Fire Giant picked up, it dropped down to half HP before being reset. Pagon jumped at by Paul, but Paul won't get caught out. Could be a big ultimate from Aurora. Bat out of hell used from Fine. Okay, Sot has been krakened, but Scream has been Pauled. An answer back from the Tartarus Titans, and here's a Ragnarok from Layers. But there's no answer. The Jade Dragons were so grouped, and the Tartarus Titans were as well, but it was more effective from the Titans. They've lost their solo, and the Jade Dragons lose jungle and support.
It's not going to be easy, though, trying to pull the EFG with everyone from the Jade Dragons still around. They're all dancing on wards as well, but Paul has been absolutely deleting. Look at the skewers. It's too much. You can't step up to this set. That Fire Giant going down quickly, and the rest of the Jade Dragons off the zone duty of the mid laner are not going to be stepping up to this one. The Tartarus Titans put their foot down. They say EFG is going to be ours. That left side trebuchet will be dealt with, but you know, I've been saying time and time again that you shouldn't be the first one in his set, but that was Paul being the first one in this time. Yeah. He forced that ultimate out of Pagon defensively, and then Aurora was able to grab the ult, get the beads down, and still those skewers did not miss.
Well, he was the first one in, but like off to the side where he like walked in but caught one like he didn't necessarily face tank the entirety of the Jade Dragon, so it was a really effective first one in. from Paul.
He was just looking for Pagon.
Right, just looking for Pagon. Great positioning on the set.
Look at Panicat warming up.
Those are so slow now, though.
Yeah,
Look at the
that is true.
The glaives.
Feel kind of just lagging in
You know what would be
comparison.
nice? Maybe an item that speeds up your projectile speed. I think that's what Panicat needs to go for.
Gave his autos wings, if you could.
Yeah, but like, not just like birds' wings, right?
No.
Something big,
Lioness,
majestic,
right?
Right, like a griffin.
Like
a griffin's wings.
A griffin wings, but you'd have to wear them somehow.
Yeah, but if I can't wear them in my hands because
that's
where I'm throwing my autos.
Yeah, that's true. You'd have to be free-handed to do this.
Right. I don't know. I'm not on my eyes either because I need to be able to see.
That makes sense.
I also want to look fashionable.
You don't have to hear anything.
No.
Not
maybe
on the battleground.
Earrings.
So
So griffin wing
griffin
earrings.
wing.
I think that would be fantastic for Panicat. Maybe a good pickup. But no, Void Shield, in all reality, might just keep him alive against Paul a bit longer in this set. Remember, we set the stage earlier. We were thinking, look, this could be a game where Paul really comes alive. Has only died off once since we've had that conversation. Dragons need to find dive onto Paul, it seems, but it has just been so hard. Nobody can stand alone with Paul in any of these lanes. And then if you deal with Paul, you've got Stuart, who's still undying, by the way, full build on the Ishtar. And has plenty of range to poke down these Phoenixes with the third stance of the one if there's minion waves out of the way.
SOT's just going to grab that mid Phoenix with poly shots at this point. I mean,
Right.
just keeps
Dash
chucking the
forward,
reach
poly
out.
it.
Yep, so that one will eventually go down. So left Phoenix seems to be where the Jade Dragons need to focus their defense. The one shimmering ray of hope is that Paul really can't dive.
Ow.
Look at that damage, though. Pagon's like, oh, see you guys. Got to go back to base. Got skewered for 800.
Oh, my God. That sucks for Pagon. That just feels terrible. Stuart, though, pulled in by Mike. This is such an interesting split. It's a 2.
Paul's just waiting for him.
1.5.
He's going to do it
2.
again.
I mean, Paul, it's a 2.5 on mid and a 2.5 on left with Paul just waiting to skewer someone. Believe has vision over that wall. Aurora pulled in yet again. This is where Panicat can find some good damage onto Aurora, but
Here
the
it
poke
comes.
damage battle against the Phoenix still being won by the Titans. They've got a full minute left. They can keep up this slow burn on these birds. Of course, they'd love to win a fight and end the game here shortly. It's up to Mike and up to Panicat over on left. Mike being walked at. Pagon's going to answer the call. Wild Hunt only onto Aurora. Now 45 seconds left with still 3 Phoenixes up.
Yeah, I got to imagine. Commit to one of these. I mean, SOT has the poly shots. That's all well and good. But you would love the autos from Stuart to start connecting as well. So the split push is fine. It's keeping Final K and Scream on the right side of the map. Finally, another walk in, but I think PBM and Panicat have been able to defend. But here it is.
Here we go. It's Scream with the Kraken in mid, but Scream gets less than nothing. He hits air with the Kraken. The left side Phoenix is gone. Mid lane Phoenix may follow, but the Titans more concerned about the fight. They've lost Paul, but Scream and Pagon also both dead. SOT low. Mid lane Bird crumbles to ashes, and it looks like the Titans have gotten what they came for. 2-for-1 trade and 2 Phoenixes down.
Pagon did win the 1v1 versus Paul that time around, but still gets so close to death it really did not matter. Layers almost died to the Kraken as well. It was close to being a 2-for-0.
Oh, pump fake.
But it looks like the Tartarus Titans will be able to grab the last bit of this Phoenix. The EFG wore off, but they've got plenty of damage.
Smart play by the Titans. Dragons thought that they had disengaged, but not the case. Titans stick around, and it's now 3 Phoenixes down. Type comeback from the Dragons. Will they even get a chance, though? Aurora wants to keep things going. Big stun from Stuart, but Mike continuing to walk forward. It's Aurora who's dead instead. Suddenly the Jade Dragons maybe realizing this is their chance back into the game. You have a lopsided fight. Fire Giant going to be up here shortly, and Aurora is still dead for 50 seconds. Can you pull the FG before Aurora gets back?
That's the call. Looks like trying to chase as far as possible. And also, this is a Tartarus Titans without Paul, so looking for a fight could be the play. But Paul has spawned back in, and he's going to be running it down mid lane. Scream has to deal with fire minions. Fine, okay. Up against 3, forced into that ultimate. Keeping them around, at the very least, seems to be the play. No, don't let the Tartarus Titans go back.
You got to do FG right away, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
just Paul
this is your
at full
best
HP.
chance. Your 3 Phoenixes down.
He already
Your
ulted.
5v4, but Final K is so low. Paul is just going to equalize the kill total. It's a Kraken on Asat, though, and that's giving the Jade Dragons an advantage right back in all likelihood, it's just going to be the solo laner's dead. And now the EFG picked up by the Dragons one more time.
Paul doesn't have the ultimate, though, and here comes Pagon looking for him. He's trying to find that 1v1%. He goes in.
Pagon, no, he doesn't get Paul. It's Fire Giant low. It's Fire Giant secured by the Jade Dragons. Fire minions outside of their base, but Mike is low. And actually, Layers could have looked for a jump back in. He won't. Fire Giant on 4, enhanced of the Jade Dragons, with 3 Phoenixes to deal with in their base.
I mean, that's it. Enhanced Fire Giant and 3 waves of fire minions. I'm not going to call it a win, but it's a small step in the right direction,
not
right?
a loss, right?
It's definitely not bad, but the Jade Dragons are going to have to push out slowly, if at all. I mean, out of everyone in the league, the team that would be able to weasel their way to this Titan room without being seen, it's the Tartarus Titans, and they have Sot, who can join at a moment's notice, has teleport as well. So many different options. I would not be surprised if the Jade Dragons ward up at the very least. They have none of which in their jungle. They need to start putting some vision down, because with the DPS that the Tartarus Titans have, that Titan could be destroyed without minions very quickly. The Jade Dragons would love to get all 3 of these birds up. I mean, that's priority number 1. But let's keep our eyes on the Tartarus Titans, currently grouped on the left side of your map, probably looking towards Gold Fury. If they kill the Gold Fury, though, they let everyone know where they are. So they're not going to do that. They're going to group towards red buff. Paul's going to be able to grab that one. And it looks like splitting up. I think we can see that Layers and SOT on the right side of your map, and the rest of the team running down mid. But there is vision. They have warded there. They'll see out Paul at the very least.
Right.
But the Jade Dragons have to fight out of their Phoenix. They cannot fight in Titan Room. It's too risky.
Yeah, this is so awkward, though, for the Jade Dragons. I mean, in all reality, left and mid Phoenix, they could go down the moment they spawn back up. If the Titans just 5-man this left side Phoenix.
That would be ideal.
It's a fantastic start for the Titans, despite being down 4 enhanced Fire Giant buffs. The fans, they might want a game 3 here, not of the Dragons or the Titans. Polyprox onto the left side. Oh no, it's a disastrous start for the Dragons. Layers is killed off Pagon in the mid lane. And Fino K maybe soon to follow. Fino K will live. It's a pull for Mike back in. No bat out of hell, but beads for Fino. Mike pulled into the front line. Kraken deletes Sot in trade. And it's actually mid and left Phoenix still up for the Jade Dragons. The Titans, though, have stuck around.
What's going to be the call here? Where's their engage? They don't have a blink and they don't have a dash ton. They essentially just have to walk in. But all 3 of these birds, one of them has to go down. There's no way that 3 members of the Jade Dragons can defend 3 of these Phoenixes up against 4 Tartarus Titans. Mid Phoenix will drop. Left Phoenix will drop. Right Phoenix is going down too, but it looks like Layers droked.
Oh no! Scream, can you finish off this kill? You better be careful because Paul can do this! Oh no, Paul now needs to be careful. He's gone in, and Scream single-handedly repels 2 members of the Titans, but Stewart will use that opening to clean up the left side Phoenix. Trelly, Square One's getting jumped on a bit here this weekend. We're back to it. Left and mid Phoenix gone, right side Phoenix respawned.
Wow.
And Fire Giant with only 50 seconds left. I mean, you're still giving Titans all of the map advantage in the world. The enhanced Fire Giant, it's going to have to do for the Jade Dragons. I imagine the Titans will do their best not to overextend in the next minute and a half and give themselves a clean shot at the EFG.
Yeah, I don't envy the position that Scream and Pagon are in because they have been dealt the Paul killers. Like, that's what they have to be.
That's
and
their hands, right.
if they are not CCing Paul with Kraken, and if they are not using that Volcanic Lightning on Paul, they are probably just losing the game. I mean, it's just not going to happen at this point. So they have to save those abilities to try and deal with the 41,000 damage that Paul has been able to do. Now the Tartarus Titans are grouped on the right side of your map. Remember, they didn't get that right Phoenix. That one was close, but the minions didn't grab it. And it looks like, I don't know if Layers will spot out there. I think they're going for the wraparound play here. And with Paul on the left side of your map, I don't think that's a good idea. They probably want to stay hidden.
Paul just got back to base.
Are they going for the end?
They might be. Titans grouped up. They're at least
this is a base race they lose 100% of the time.
Who loses?
The Tartarus Titans should win this 100% of the time.
You would think, right?
They broke a ward.
It's only Paul that's back. Jade Dragons know this is happening, and so the drama now maybe melts away a bit. The Titans will get their 3rd Phoenix somewhat easily. 2 members of the Dragons, though, have stuck around in mid. Can they get a kill onto Paul? It's a Kraken. That misses. and it's Paul that never misses. SOT has jumped in. The Titans will win their scrap in mid, and that might just end the game. 3 Phoenixes down, and now it's desperation mode from the Dragons in game 2.
Yeah, I mean, they were in a position where they had to go back. There's no way they win that base race, and now the fight is so split. Pagon going down to Stewart. It's just Panic Cat, and Layers was hiding. He's going to delete him. Fine, okay, you're up next. Unfortunate. Bat Out of Hell could stall out for a bit, but that Titan's already dying to fire minions.
Nah, the Titan's gonna die to the minions anyway. The Jade Dragons pull a massive lead in game 2, but it melts away. Paul, Stewart, and the Titans come up big, send us to a game 3, and keep their 2nd seed hopes alive.
9-2 for Paul, and 9-0 for Stewart. No one could kill that Ishtar, and I gotta give credit to Sot and Aurora. I mean, it's just not that easy to be able to engage in these late game fights, but having a designated just blink taunt, or dash taunt rather, no blink, and then the pulls in from Aurora, make sure that your carries are able to have games like that. Paul was making some of those opportunities for himself, but Stewart came through massive when the team needed him. He was way over in left lane for quite some time, but when he made that first rotation and got the triple, he said, hey, don't worry, ADC is here.
In a game that was as bloody as that one was, the fact that Stewart escapes without any deaths, that's a testament to Stu and his ability to play the game. Also, the turnaround of Aurora and Sot, as far as initiators go, think about how they were performing early in the game. Totally different by the end here. Suddenly the Ares, suddenly the Athena really hitting their mark. You wanted more of it. It's game 3, Titans, Jade Dragons, thrilling conclusion right after this break.
welcome back to the SMITE Pro League. Game number 2 of our set between the Jade Dragons and the Tartarus Titans goes over to the Titans this time around. A good early game by the Dragons, kept the momentum going for this team, and once we started getting some of these Phoenix pushes though, Mifflin, it started getting a little tougher for the Jade Dragons, namely because of one man in particular, Paul, really giving the Jade Dragons a hard time on this set, and then once we got to 6th slot, we got to see Stewart kind of become a pop-off, and I think singing the praises of those 2 carries for this team is really a good way to start this one out.
Yeah, I mean, this hyper-stim composition for Paul, where it just felt like anytime Paul saw even the slightest opportunity, it was, yo, SOT, hit me with your ult right now. All right, Aurora, get in there and pop bolster defense. I'm going to W key. And it felt like for maybe 3 seconds in any given team fight, Paul was unkillable and dealing more damage than anybody could deal with. And if anybody did actually kill Paul, well, that meant that, for the most part, Stewart was left untouched in the engagement, and Paul had already done a whole lot of work. So Stu was able to rotate his way in and make some pretty massive strides. I will say that this is a game where our boy Layers gets a little bit of a free ride once more. Bottom of the damage charts on the Fenrir. He ate a couple too many Krakens, I suppose. I mean, value. Good thing those Krakens weren't hitting Paul. You know what? I take it back. He was eating Krakens, and that's something.
He was.
But the Tartarus Titans, I think, certainly had a clear identity to this composition, man. Between the defense of SOT and Aurora, just felt like Paul was allowed to stand wherever he wanted, and the Jade Dragons weren't allowed to stand where Paul was.
Yeah, it really did feel like Layers was kind of the Kraken sponge for his team. Ate quite a few of them. Lived through most of them. In fact, there was one where it was, I think, 3 diving onto Scream Kraken Layers, did like 95% of Layers' HP, and then Layers still just kind of got to walk away for a little bit, but Paul and Stewart topping the damage charts, and I believe getting 9 kills apiece in this game, really showing that these guys can be that hyper late game carry that the Tartarus Titans need. So back to the drawing board maybe for the Jade Dragons as it kind of goes through the Poseidon worked out into the early game, didn't quite get there towards the late game, felt like Stream wasn't able to get too much. We'll see what adaptations get made for the Jade Dragons as we go into game number 3. And one thing that I'll just personally say is maybe don't give Paul set again. Maybe take Stewart off the Ishtar. Seems like these are 2 very comfortable picks for these carries. I don't know if I'd give it to him 3 games in a row.
Yeah, I don't know. The Jade Dragons strike me as a team where, like, you know, he's not that good. We could beat that because they kind of did in game 1. It's just, I think if we were to talk to the Jade Dragons, they would almost say, I can hear it in each of their individual voices, execution error. We should have just won in the first 20 minutes. Like, skill issue, that's on us, right? Like that's the type of players that they are. We'll see whether or not those adaptations will come through. Vulcan seems to be the continual just issue point the Jade Dragons want to make sure that the Tartarus Titans aren't able to go to. Set banned out by the Titans, maybe for concern that the Jade Dragons would take it for themselves, and a fair concern, but it does leave the Morgan available. The Dragons snatch it up.
An instant snap block of the Morgan. Bans that do go through, Vulcan, Erlong Shen, and Cernanos. So that Panda Cat played in that game, not going to get to play it again this time around. Then the Set, Hades, and Yamoja for the Tartarus Titans that did leave that Morgan open. Ishtar available for the Titans, and I would be hard-pressed if that one didn't get picked up almost instantly for Stewart. Give it to him for a 3rd game in a row, especially after the performance he had on it in game number 2. But for now, it'll be a Ymir as a first pick for the Tartarus Titans. This is a pick that's been banned away or just kind of completely ignored in the first 2, and then Ishtar to round it out.
Yeah, I wonder. The Jade Dragons have the opportunity to go for double Cthulhu here. Has been very strong. Seems like a very good team composition that's very difficult to beat. Ymir okay into that matchup. Just toss up the wall, fully disengage, but still pretty spooky. How did I forget about Daji, man?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Double Daji might just be as scary as double Cthulhu, because the conversation of, yo, Daji can go in and burn beads, but you can't, it's going to be a long time till Palau's back up, no longer applies if there's 2 of them. That is a spooky top 2 from the Jade Dragons. I really like how this composition has come together, and that's just with the first 2 selections. The Tartarus Titans, on the other hand, I think a very strong duo lane, tons of pressure, the ability to get in towards that first purple buff. Ymir, one of the best at those early invades. The Titans have got that going for them. I don't know, man. I'm hung up on the Jade Dragons draft already.
We'll see what their 3rd selection ends up being, as they still have a little bit of time. Currently hovering the Cthulhu, so
oh god,
not just double Daji, but also a chance of double Cthulhu.
Oh man,
for the Jade Dragons, the pick of the litter already for Pagon in that mid lane, just between the top 2 picks immediately following after for the Jade Dragons. Now that kind of opens up for the Tartarus Titans of What in the world did they do to try and counter against this draft, Mifflin?
Probably another hunter, right? Double hunter seems to be one of the exclusive answers to a singular Cthulhu. At least the Titans get to look at this draft and say, hey, I mean, that's not a composition that just owns, you know? Like, they're not going to come swinging at us at minute 1. Double Cthulhu drafts or drafts with the Morgan in it generally take about 15, 20 minutes before you're allowed a team fight. So the Titans might look at the Jade Dragons draft and say, hey, maybe we have to blitz them. Kind of similar to the set we had seen previously with the Jade Dragons. If this composition goes late, I don't see too many easy win conditions for the Tartarus Titans, so the Titans might just decide to end this one early. We'll get a better look at how they decide to address it as the picks and bans start to roll forward. Seems like the Titans might just be as stumped as us, man. I mean, it is stumped. It is a spooky top 3. It really is for the Jade Dragons.
Do not fear this. Paul is in there going,
oh, there's some early.
Y'all are really making me fight against this. Like, I really got to draft against
this composition. For now, the Tartarus Titans do draft Osiris, something that we've been seeing Scream take in the jungle a couple times for the Jade Dragons as of recent. Have seen that it still can have that soul in presence, SOT, namely a player who does like to go for this Osiris pick. Still could go towards layers in the jungle if you do want to maybe get some of that early. As we jump to the second wave of bans, Cupid and Tyr. The first one's taken away, so Jade Dragons believing that this Osiris could be going over towards layers and maybe trying to keep SOT banned away.
Yeah, it could be. Jade Dragons have kind of hedged their bets in second phase of bans about every single game this set so far. The Hell ban from the Tartarus Titans. I mean, yeah, Cleanse is pretty good into double Powwow, right? Like, you're concerned, like, first round of Powwow, I burn some beads. Second round, it's just going to get Cleanse, so don't want to deal with that. Maybe tells me that we are likely to see early transformations into the Daji. The Jade Dragons could very well try and leverage that, and Hell would have been a really good counter pick. But if that's the case, maybe I would have banned, like, Chiron first. Chiron, not exactly, like, the strongest hunter right now, but already projecting, like, a double hunter composition for the Tartarus Titans. He's also got the Cleanse in his kit. Becomes a little bit less likely with this Horus lock-in now. A little bit more early pressure as well. Maybe the Titans do try and blitz him.
Maybe so, but now they got to blitz into an Ardeo for the Jade Dragons and a pick for Polar Bear Mike in the support role. What will Panda Cat's final pick be? Hunters that are already taken away is just the Cupid, the Cern, and the Ishtar at this point, so still quite a few options available. Over to the Hunter of the Jade Dragons. And the Tartarus Titans, I assume they're waiting for Paul's pick at this point, because Osiris to the jungle, Horus over to the solo lane for SOT. Maybe. We'll have to see.
Oh, not that one, surely.
Neath hovered. But would Neath be the actual pick for the Dragons? Gives you some global presence at the very least to maybe try and deal with some of this, but
this should be fun.
We'll be the one locked in. So Neath for the Jade Dragons Hunter.
Yeah, you got to buy me a little bit more time to think about it than that, J-Mac. Hold on, I'm gearing something up. I mean, it's global presence to play around the Daji. If you're trying to isolate Ymir in the jungle, Neath very good in those situations. If you're worried about getting bullied by Ishtar at range, Unravel, pretty good self-sustain in lane. I mean, looking at this draft from the Jade Dragons, Panda Cat was never going to be the win condition, so just facilitate the rest of the map, maybe just the name of the game here.
That's unfortunate for me because that's my hunter for the Fantasy League. And if Panda Cat's not going to be the win con, might not be getting me some points out there. Tartarus Titans do go for Soul for their final selection. That kind of maybe raised the question to you. Do you think that this Ishtar now goes mid over towards Paul, or do you think that this Hell, with some of the change-ups to the itemization that we've been seeing, not Hell, Soul, with some of the changes we've been seeing up to her itemization, you think this is one that maybe goes to Paul in the mid lane instead?
I think you want Ishtar probably in mid. She's a little bit more aggressive. Rolling Thunder, very large AoE, so pretty decent at knocking Morgan out of stealth. You've got a highly aggressive ultimate that's pretty easy to apply, so burning beads from the Morgan pretty consistent. I think it's a conversation of the pace of the game that the Tartarus Titans are trying to establish for themselves. And if it's, let's get active early, let's make sure this crazy team fight composition from the Jade Dragons doesn't get rolling, you want to have your best pressure pick up against the Morgan. And between Soul and Ishtar, I'd probably give that to Ishtar.
So for the Tartarus Titans, maybe get through this early game, be the answer for them to try and stop the Jade Dragons, but for the composition if the Tartarus Titans don't get off to that roll a little bit earlier on Mifflin, if the Tartarus Titans aren't able to kind of slow down the Jade Dragons, or I should say just run over the Jade Dragons early, is this a composition that the Titans have drafted to be able to try and stand up to what the Jade Dragons have drafted for late game?
Everything's going to come down to play on field, obviously. I mean, the draft's only going to do so much. The whole purpose of a draft in SMITE is to make play on field as easy to execute as possible. Is there anything that is going to make it easy to deal with a double Cthulhu or a double Daji? Not exactly, but you have got the tools. If it is double Cthulhu, you essentially have double Hunter on the side of the Tartarus Titans. Your mirror wall is really good at separating some of these team fights. You've got the capacity as the Titans to kind of slow down the team fight with a wall, disengage, wait for Descend to Madness to end, re-engage, and then probably have to do it again. But, I mean, it's so hard to look at this Jade Dragons draft and say, man, that's something you could deal with late game.
It's going to be a difficult ask for the Tartarus Titans to stand up to the late game of the Dragons. So can the Titans roll through the early game for themselves? We'll find out in game number 3. One more time with Dulcin and Trelly.
One last time, the Dragons and the Titans will go toe-to-toe in a scheduled matchup. Will we see these teams play at Phase 3 playoffs, potentially group stages if the craziness happens, maybe Worlds later on? But the Dragons and the Titans make our way to a Game 3 with Dulcin, Trelly, and Billy one final time. And Trelly, the desk is given their early chips on the Dragons side of the table just as far as composition goes, and hard to argue against what the Dragons have drafted.
Yeah, certainly is. But I think because the Tartarus Titans have convinced me that their base defense is always going to be on point, you got to imagine something like that could be in the cards, as Aurora has taken his normal trip over towards the green buff, trying to steal that one away from Panda Cat. Won't be able to. This sort of play is becoming pretty par for the course now for these Ymirs in particular. Just trying to slow down these ADCs as much as possible, and that's usually what we'll see. But I think the Jade Dragons have really drafted themselves something special. I mean, with the Daji, the Cthulhu, as well as the Morgan, it really does just start to add up here. PBM did drop that horrific to try and keep Aurora away, and it ends up working out. But Stewart does hit level 2 first.
Oh no, who? It's going to be off to a worse start, though, because it's Panda Cat who's already had to use the beads and a couple more autos. One last one, Stewart finds his way between Mike and the minion wave, lands an auto onto Panda Cat. But it was actually one more that Stewart needed. My goodness, the thinnest of margins keeps this Neath alive. Worth talking, I think, about transformation options. Stu has gone in yet again. Panda a bit healthier this time. AoE autos can't block those out if you're Mike. And now level 2, Panda will be a bit safer here in this lane. Pagon already up against it. Paul seemingly being able to poke out Pagon effectively. Layers was over in mid just a moment ago. I mean, the obvious options, Trelly, Cthulhu, Daji, right? Double either of those in a team fight and you're feeling just fine. Do you see a world where double World Weavers early in this game have any value?
I see a world where if someone's backing like on a ward and they're not quite enough HP for one World Weaver to kill, yeah, maybe that transformation happens, but saving Pagon's ultimate for Daji or Cthulhu exclusively, probably the right call. There's some niche situations where maybe like a Horus Soul to try and chase down could be useful, but I'm thinking that's probably your best idea, saving for that team fight. That's when you're really going to get tons of value. Speaking of value, Paul on this Soul has been wailing away on Pagon in the mid lane. And this is what Soul does. She gets her heat and just chunks with auto attacks. She's pretty much just pressure incarnate, right? That's what Soul does. Looks like a possible invade towards the red buff. Even with Soul, this is going to take a bit. And I imagine, yeah, with a rotation from the rest of the team, minis could be the call. But Paul wants the full buff.
Paul.
Looks like PBM wants to steal it.
Nope, won't get the full buff, will Paul, but he will get the smalls. Pagon, I'm not even sure Pagon's going to be able to rotate out of lane.
He is not.
Safely pick that up.
He is not.
PBM will pick up the red and now hopefully go help in securing the Jade Dragons blue buff. Pressure all across the map for the Tartarus Titans right now. Littles from the red and full purple buff stolen away by the Titans. And, you know, so long teams have searched for an answer. How do you deal with Jade Dragons early? Do you just pick late comp and try to withstand it? Do you pick early pressure and try to shove in? And it seems like the latter is the Titans' answer here in Game 3.
Yeah, probably trying to get as aggressive as possible. seems smart enough, and Pagon doesn't have access to that ultimate, so the Morgan, so much less scary when there's not that transformation opportunity, when you don't have that chance to turn into one of these scary characters like the Cthulhu, like the Daji, that sort of thing. So I think Paul, rightfully so, trying to find some pressure into that mid lane. I will say, even more difficult, especially when there's an Osiris with Mannequin Scepter on the map, trying to run away from the Morgan, or as the Morgan, rather. You know, there's a lot of tick damage. The tether starts to get annoying. I think Pagon does have a bit of a difficult matchup here, trying to survive as the Morgan and use that ultimate strictly for team fight. I wouldn't be surprised if he's forced into a bit of defensive ultimates just for the time being, you know, trying to survive the onslaught of the Tartarus Titans offense. But as of recent, hasn't been able to hit level 5, so sitting just fine. But Paul has a wraparound here in mid.
Yes, Paul going to have the upper hand onto Pagon. Now the stealth from Morgan. Safe enough this time around. And it's level 5 from Pandacat that you also have to be wary of. Of course for Scream, but for Pandacat as well. So often we see Neath out of mid, and Mannequin's Hidden Blade, that type of play style, the answer out of the mid lane, maybe what Pandacat's going to go for here. But it's over on the left, so there's more travel time early in the game on World Weaver. But do you imagine you still want to use it if you're Pandacat to set up for the rest of your team, even though it's on the other side of the map? Or do you think you might need to be defensive with it? I'll give you a second to think about it, Trelly, because it's a Roar and the Shards of Ice that has done pretty good damage to Scream and Mike. Chains maybe just for damage, and it's Scream for first blood. Stewart, though, wants to chase down Mike. Don't think he has the option to do so. Well, it's Pagon out of mid, Palau up, stun onto Paul, chains onto Layers, and a Lord of the Afterlife. May secure his escape, but Scream has now gone back in. So is Pagon, and it's Scream, the real Daji, has stood up and given the Jade Dragons their second kill.
Yeah, it's a beautiful engage, and that was forcing Pagon's ultimate defensively, but he was able to use it offensively, getting the ult out of Paul and Layers, and Scream had the damage to follow that one up. And remember, this all started with the engage onto Aurora. I mean, this Ymir was a little bit too far up, got horrific, had to use the ultimate defensively. Just a great gank, and Scream gets credit for both of those kills, while Mike gets 2 assists and Pagon only gets 1. But you're without the transformation for a bit, so does have to position pretty far back in this mid lane, especially up against Paul, who's been able to get level 7. You know, this Soul is certainly still a threat, but with no ultimate from Soul either, you got to imagine just to double down here. The Jade Dragons get a good 1K plus gold lead, and they're sitting just fine.
They're feeling A-okay. I want to return back to the thought, though, Trillian. We saw it use short range there, World Weaver. Although, again, it might just be one of those things I can't get out, depending on how Layers and Sot want to play around Fine OK here. They'll just head on back to their greater Scorpion. Do you see a world where Pandacat is sending these ultimates across the map, setting up for Jade Dragon's ganks on various lanes, or do you want to save that in your back pocket defensively?
No, I think Pandacat, anytime that ultimate is up, should be calling it out, clear a wave, charge it up, see if you can find anything, because getting a relic from across the map is incredibly valuable. It sets up for Scream's Palaus, it sets up for Pagon's Palaus, and it just sets up for the Jade Dragons team fight. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if you're holding that ultimate, you're doing it wrong. Fine, okay. Under absolutely no pressure.
There you go.
Uses that ult defensively and turns it into an offensive threat.
World Weaver will finally connect, and it's SOT who's caught out. But it's Horus, and Horus can disengage, or maybe re-engage. He's blinked forward, and he's looked for the dive in onto Scream. Hasn't found it, though. Layers and Sot so low. Fine OK with a bit more health, bit more mana. Might consider going back in on this fight. In fact, if he can stop the back, Mike is now here, but so is Aurora. And I think that means Layers will be able to head back to base safely.
You could tell Mike was like, don't worry, guys, I got the rotation. And Aurora's like, he's here, he's here, he's here. It was like telling exactly where Mike was the whole time. Under no sort of threat. Paul, almost under threat of getting wrapped around. But again, it's Aurora, just right behind him, making sure
just
he's
waddling behind Mike, just trying to keep up.
Aurora's sole duty is to follow PBM around and make sure that he can't be sneaky.
You know what that reminds me of is like your ranked teammate, whatever, new support player, whatever, and they're like, what am I supposed to do now? I don't want to just sit in your lane and sap all your farm. You're like, I don't know, just try to be wherever the other support is.
Yep.
And Aurora's just hot on the trail of Mike. And maybe that's the right thing to do right now, is just try to match what Mike does, because Mike on RDO loves playing the entirety of the map.
Oh, yeah.
It's so difficult to slow down. And Aurora with just the one death in the back after some scrapping over on the left side. Love to get out of this. Scream close by. Might have the powwow back up shortly. Lots of damage onto Aurora. A dash in from Pagon, who's transformed into Daji. World Weaver completes the kill. And that means Pagon can use his ult to get the beads off of Paul. The transformations into the Daji have paid off for the Jade Dragons. This time, a kill onto Aurora.
And that was Pagon's ultimate, which means Scream still does have that powwow. So now Paul's going to have to hold on to that supernova just to try and get away from this Daji. It seems, though, Scream looking for Stewart, though, over in the duo lane, might be able to find beads if possible. We'll just find a little bit of damage. I saw the dash in, but no ultimate. Scream holds on to that powwow. Might stick around, realizing that Stewart might want to try and go for this wave. Unfortunately for Stewart, he does, so he's going to go in once again.
Oh, no, Stu won't even get the stun onto Scream. I don't even know if you can call that greedy. He just wants his wave underneath his tower, but Scream has called him on it. And again, the Jade Dragons have set a near unmatchable pace. 2,500 gold in the lead at 9 minutes. All revolving around Scream on this Daji and Pagon transforming into the Daji and fighting on the left side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, what's with this guy? Pagon says, hey, I don't want to play mages, so I'll play Pele. He plays Pele twice, loses once on the Pele. Says, all right, I'll play a mage, but only if I can transform into another assassin and only play Daji for the rest of the game. Pele is not the call. Now he's going to be going for these powwows consistently. Remember, Paul's beats are down, still 90 seconds, but has that supernova for that CC immunity if he's worried about the pull-in from Pagon or Scream. But Pagon's ultimate is on a little bit more of a cooldown. Just ticked over that last time. It's still about 10-15 seconds out. Won't have any more aggressive pressure in the mid lane, but it's 10 minutes now. Pyromancer has spawned in. Time to think about those solo laners. Fine, okay. Sitting a level up. SOT was just able to match it, so could be some rotations in from these tanky solo laners anytime now.
And that's when maybe we see double Cthulhu instead of double Daji. Those types of moments will make these fights maybe arrive at a similar conclusion, just a bit differently. Panda Cat and Stewart, neither ADC shies away from 1v1s, but Stewart feeling a bit better because his jungler is here. It's a World Weaver on the layers. Pagon nearly saves his ADC, but Panda Cat will drop. But it could end up being a 2-for-1 if Mike can find the stun, find the kill. And it's Scream on 5. And one more powwow will get the ult out of Aurora.
I cannot believe that Stewart beats there. There was no way he was ever getting out of that situation. PBM can die for half an hour. Scream was full HP, but maybe a bit greedy, maybe. Just thought he could have some chance at trying to survive. But you did call for it earlier on. Sometimes the double World Weaver will come through. It worked out for a bit, almost got Panda Cat out of trouble. And we saw that the Pagon used his transformation, so won't have that for this Gold Fury, but will have ton of aggression. Paul went back to base, so it's really only Layers that could make it, and he's not even close. He's still on green buff, so that Gold Fury will go down for absolute free. The Jade Dragons, they set their pace, they're matching it, and they're consistently upping it, Dave. They're not trying to slow down anytime soon.
I mean, this is brutal for Layers. I mean, it's an Osiris, a Mannequin's Osiris early game, but the blistering pace set by Scream has felt near impossible for Layers to match. Layers at 0-2, praying that he can keep up and farm 2 levels behind Scream on the Daji. A Pyromancer, that's helpful for the Titans, far from devastating for the Dragons to give up. And it's Layers left looking, equal levels, now pulls one ahead of Mike, for somewhere to have an impact, because this Osiris has been left empty-handed in the first 12 minutes.
Yeah, hasn't really had any opportunity to find a gank. You can tell Layers wants to play through SOT. But last time he went over to solo lane, FineOK said, I'm going to ult because I'm going to respect your damage. Realized pretty much immediately that there was no damage, and then decided to get aggressive with that ultimate. So FineOK is just a bit too tall of an ask, you know, for a gank at the moment. Top of the XP per minute charts by a wide margin. We've seen Scream has 5 kills, and still FineOK is closer to level 14 than he is. So has been able to keep a pretty intense pace over in that solo, which means Layers doesn't have an opportunity to gank there. Maybe PBM, but once Pagon goes invis, he doesn't want to fight that one anymore either.
I gotta think. Now, we already saw a massive turnaround from the Titans in Game 2. They climbed out of like a 10,000 gold hole in Game 2. I think if you look at teams in participating in Game 3s, So often you slow down, but the Dragons have the opposite mindset. Not here, not in this game 3. They want to speed things up. Scream with his 6th. This one a simple setup by PandaCat and Scream, only 1 ultimate needed. Beads down for 14 seconds still for Stu, so it's perfectly timed by the Jade Dragons.
Yeah, Pagon wanted to try and chase that one down, but Aurora's going to be just fine. And here comes SOT, but Final K's on the way as well.
Oh no, this could be a big one for the Jade Dragons. Pagon will knock down Aurora. And now the Titans left scattering. A tier 1 tower, a simple task for the Dragons given their gold lead at this point in the game. Titans still searching for answers, none to be found in mid.
Yeah, and it looks like grouping up towards the right side of the map. Not a Fire Giant pull.
It was what, 16-minute FG in game 2?
Yeah, they had a Kraken and they had a Frenzy. This time around, PandaCat went for the Bracer, so still good DPS, but the main giveaway was PandaCat wasn't here. He was over on the left side of the map.
Right.
So probably not going to be able to burn through that Fire Giant just yet, and didn't have any overwhelming confirm either. So probably a smart call, 8-1. That the Jade Dragons just continue playing at the same pace they've gone, right? I mean, they've got no one that's been able to stop them yet. Stuart found 1 kill early on, or not even that early on, but besides that 1 kill on the PandaCat, the Tartarus Titans have not been able to find any sort of aggression, and I don't think they've been looking for it. It's been more so, clear your camps. If you see someone, let us know, but we want to try and avoid seeing any Jade Dragons, and definitely don't want to fight them until like 20 minutes, I imagine, would be the call. But so far, the Jade Dragons don't want to let that happen. They want to continue forcing these fights, especially over by PandaCat, because he's got that ultimate. If he's able to CC a target, it's usually a good setup for the rest of the team.
Yeah, I don't know, Trelly. At 20 minutes, the Jade Dragons maybe 10+ thousand gold ahead again. Already almost exactly 6,000 gold in the lead here in game number 3. Now, what's worrying for the Titans is, yes, there was a big turnaround in game 2, but it felt like even at this point in the game, Paul had strung a couple of kills together. Remember, Stuart was left undying. Stuart has now died 3 of 8 times this game. And so the Jade Dragons keeping a similar pace, but also pushing kills and denying kills from the targets on the Titans that really ran away with game number 1. So yes, they're still scaling for Paul. Yes, Stuart will get to late game ADC eventually, but not as easily as game 2. Layers under a bit of pressure as a World Weaver from PandaCat makes its way in. Aurora under threat of his 4th death of the game. Gotta be here with 5 Jade Dragons on the left side of the jungle. And I'm not sure that's the Titans jungle any further. The Jade Dragons have claimed it.
Stuart's just... He's just sending autos over the wall. Yeah,
laughing and shaking his head.
Mike's like, you can't reach me, bro. I'm stealing this trebuchet no matter what. And that's because Stuart can't stand under his own tower. Like right now, able to clear his wave, but has been vastly stuck underneath that tier 2 and just afraid of the damage that comes from the opposition. I mean, PandaCat doing a ton, but also, you know, Scream's been over there time and time again. SOT is going to be ulting out here, but still a ton of damage coming his way onto the Horus. Hasn't found a death just yet, but still has been ulting out consistently for his team. Trying to use that to the skies defensively. As you really should, because at the moment it's just going to be stuck on cooldown. You're certainly not using it offensively. The Tartarus Titans have not been making any sort of plays to look for kills. Oni Fury's going to be bounced back and forth. Pyromancer spawns in here shortly. And the Tartarus Titans are not close.
Nah, Dragons will do this one pretty quickly. What ends up maybe making the difference here is if the Titans can find a sneaky fight against the Dragons when the Dragons play too aggressively. Do the Dragons pull a Fire Giant too quickly in this game? That gives the Titans to supply some damage that maybe the Dragons weren't expecting. It's another Pyromancer, though, in theory, to the Titans, and it is, but oh no. Oh no, this is bad news for the Titans. They've already lost layers. Aurora left running, 0-5 now on the Ymir. The Dragons happy to take a fight like that, lose the Pyro. And it might not be a 16-minute FG, but it's sure looking like a 17-minute Fire Giant in game 3.
Certainly does. Last time we saw this, Stuart was over in left lane, split pushing, came in and helped hard carry his team to a victory. Same sort of style, but SOT actually going to the skies here. I imagine they wait this out.
Yeah, it's just dropped. Mike calls out the ultimate. Sot won't even go into the FG pit. Once the ultimate finishes, just shy of 18 minutes, the Jade Dragons will get Fire Giant on 5. And with 3 tier 2 towers and 0.1% of one remaining in the left side of the map. Dragons have plenty of gold to build up here. The Titans are simply so far behind Trelly. It's not like we're talking at 30 minutes, you know, gold starting to matter less and less. We've got 2-3 item slots for everyone in the game to finish. And all of the farm on the Titan side of the map is getting melted away by the Dragons. This is 3-4 Hail Marys by the Dragons to drop this game, but their team fight has just looked too good. Pagon whiffs on the Palau, but fine, okay, Mike, the rest of the Dragons with their lead will envelop Aurora, who on the other side of the Shards of Ice will be stunned, killed, dropped by Pagon. 0-6 now on the Ymir, and the Ice Giant's been melted once again.
Now the right side, Phoenix is starting to be looked at here. The Tartarus Titans are still getting aggressed upon. Scream blinking, and he has the Powwow ready to go. He's going to pull a bunch of beats and Layers back in the fight.
Yeah, but Layers actually nearly turns the fight around. Paul has gotten one, the second kill of the game for the Titans on a 19-minute Phoenix siege from the Jade Dragons. Just now, Descent into Madness comes out from Fine OK, but should be defensive and covering the retreat of the Jade Dragons. Phoenix +1, Jade Dragons still rolling.
They are. Scream's looking for that mid-Phoenix, or mid-tier 2, I should say. Would love to get that Phoenix after, though. As of the minion pushing in, Paul would like to clear that out and try and slow this, but I don't think the Jade Dragons have been able to back and spend that gold yet. SOT flies in Aurora to the skies, but Panic Hat drops that bracer to speed up the team and their defense. They've got to have so much gold in pocket. The Jade Dragons have not stopped this fight yet. They were able to grab the tier 2s. They still have that Trebuchet pushing down left side as well. You can see Pagon's got 3,000. And remember, you already highlighted it. Only 3 items for most of these members. I mean, Polar Bear Mike has 2 items. He hasn't backed in such a long time. Would love to get some extra gold. Would love to finish up this build. But it's just so early in the game, Dave. It's 13-2, 20 minutes in. And there's still one more tier tower to go through. So the Jade Dragons, you got to imagine feeling pretty confident. They also got so many relics in that situation. I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to find out Paul. No beads, no shell. Does have the supernova coming up soon, but even through all that, Pagon's going to try and look for Aurora. SOT does not have the ultimate, but they don't even care about SOT for now.
I want to see what Aurora's death timer is at the end of this. He's level 13.
21?
20 minutes.
40 seconds. That's a lot.
Yeah, 40. Actually pretty beefy. It was a lot longer than I was expecting. I was thinking somewhere in the 20s, maybe low 30s, but he'll be back on the map maybe before the Jade Dragons can even get into the base of the Tartarus Titans. 0-7.
He's got, SOT has the bolts emote on.
I think he has for like a few sets though. I think for whatever reason he's been dropping
Big bolts guy.
Yeah, big bolts fan in SOT.
I've never.
Keep your eyes on those two when they match up. Sot's got some funny business going on.
Yeah, wait a second. Hold on. This guy's a big bolts fan. Is he still on the run? It looks like no, but Stewart unfortunately gets caught out.
Yeah,
is he going to go for the 1v1 versus PBM? So far, looks relatively even. I want Scream to just let him fight, but it doesn't look like Scream cares for that.
No, Stewart returns some good damage. Actually, nearly got a kill onto Mike. Mike sweating a bit by the end of that fight. And a good look for Stewart to farm up some damage, now second to top in the game. Unfortunately, appears to be that the Titans' chances at top 2 seeding starting to fade away a bit here.
With every kill Scream gets.
Right, with every kill that Scream gets at 9-0. Scream took the game 2 loss a bit personally.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I guess Stewart has caught a lot of deaths. It wasn't Layers or Aurora who was doing all the killing in game 2. They're the ones who are catching all of it here in game 3. Paul is still 1-0. Paul is the guy who is doing it to you in game 2. And the Dragons haven't killed him at all. That's a World Weaver, I think just for World Weaver's sake. I think it hit Layers.
It did. I think he just wanted to let him know, like, hey, we can see you. We got vision in your jungle.
I know where you are.
I was sitting on a bracer.
That's right.
And I wanted to show you got Heartseeker. Doesn't quite have the hidden blade yet, so we're not seeing that true half health over the Layers. In fact, he kind of shrugged it off and didn't really care. Want some more? Yeah, there's the hidden blade.
Yeah,
now I'd like to see that bracer upgraded and see how much that ultimate starts doing.
So what are our takeaways here? I mean, barring a 12,000 gold dropped ball, and you know,
which could happen.
We'll give some credence to this next Fire Giant. It's where the Dragons could coin flip something that ends up delaying the game. But what we see now in 3 straight games is the Dragons W keying and doing it successfully in 3 straight games, but unable to close out game 2. But they pulled just as big a lead in game 2 as they've had here in game 3. A faster Fire Giant even by a couple of minutes. But the Jade Dragons, you know, I think they've now continued to provide examples that it is hard to match their pace early in these games, even with an Osiris and Mannequin Scepter and the whole 9 yards out of the jungle.
Looks like Stewart could be caught out again by FineOK, but not going to be the call. More so wanted to defend that tier 2 tower from the aggression of Stewart. But now, because FineOK is over on the left, you don't imagine that right side bird is what the Jade Dragons are after. They are grouped around it, though, just in case someone steps up. All relics, all ultimates available. I mean, there's confidence, and then there's a greedy play. I don't think they really want to go in here, but the Jade Dragons are not leaving. FineOK finally teleports in. Now they're feeling it. He's already in the back line.
I mean, Layers has just been half health by PandaCat and FineOK. World Weaver hit the Osiris, and the Titans group up around their own Titan. At 24 minutes, the right side Phoenix will fall yet again. Decent sized loss here. That FineOK has just used the Descent into Madness. Won't have that to walk in, but now Mike, tanky, healthy enough. It's all right, we've got a second, says Pagon. He'll transform into the Cthulhu, and the rest of the damage follows. Scream, with his 10th of the game, drops Stewart for the 5th time this game. But the Titans still have damage. Has it been too much? Have the Dragons done too much? No, the Phoenix drops anyway. And now PandaCat can continue to walk in, but the Titans have stood strong. The Titans have won a lopsided trade for the first time this game.
Pagon just took 4,000 damage from that Phoenix, and that's going to be enough for the Tartarus Titans to feel like they can have a leg in this fight. Paul sieging forward with the rest of the Titans. The backflip is good. Barring a massive wall from Aurora, who is slowed at the moment, should be just fine. 2 Phoenixes, and the Jade Dragons are on the reset, and it looks like that is going to be the call. Full-on retreat as the Jade Dragons lose 2. Scream gets the 10-0 shutdown, and Pagon gets the 4-0 shutdown. Again, Pagon was tanking that Phoenix for the entirety of his HP. I don't think anyone even did damage to him. It was only the Phoenix. And when you're up there in that Descent into Madness, sometimes it's hard to tell that you're taking that much damage, especially when it's just the Phoenix. You can see PandaCat was charging up the ultimate there. Isn't going to let it fly. Fire Giant on 3 for still another minute 45. And they have not touched that left side. That tier 2 tower is still available. It's just been the Phoenixes in mid and right that the Jade Dragons have been after and have successfully found. So a couple more itemizations to come through. I mean, Pagon would love to get that Magi's. Scream gets Titan's Bane as well as the Bumba's Hammer, so this Daji is essentially full slotted here. It's just looking tougher and tougher to try and climb back into this game, Dave. I mean, the Titans have some options. They've been able to get a kill here and there. Paul doubled his kills in that fight. He's 2-0 now. But itemization-wise, just cannot match the pressure or the gold that the Jade Dragons have for themselves. 12,000, 26 minutes in.
I mean, Aurora's in a really difficult spot here as well, Trelly. I mean, you're on Ymir. Maybe a massive wall is what you're hoping to supply to your team. Get out the Sunder, get out the Emblem, provide utility, and likely die on the front line. Simply too far behind the damage that the Jade Dragons have built up. Luckily for the Dragons, this is simple. I mean, there's a Trebuchet in mid for the Titans, but you've got 2 Fire Minion waves pushing in. And so you can siege up this Phoenix just fine. Stewart takes the World Weaver. Needed that last bit of shielding. And that'll help keep his health bar right where it's at around this left side Phoenix. We haven't seen double Cthulhu recently in one of these massive team fights. A lot of double Dajis or 1 Cthulhu at a time, but now might be our chance. FineOK's
gone!
Oh no, he's been stunned, but not killed on his way into the fight. Oh no, the Titans doing it again. The Titans have found a kill onto the first target, but Scream still alive in the back line. Will clean up Layers. It's Scream dancing around behind the wall now. A great knockup from Pagon. Cthulhu number 2 doing it better than number 1 in this fight. Another for Pagon, another for Scream with a double. And the Jade Dragons have broken the base of the Titans.
Yeah, speaking of the base, the Titans already looking real low. Fire Minions are pouring in and 4 strong. Jade Dragons, no ultimates, but are running through. That last Phoenix goes down, but the right side bird is going to spawn in here shortly. Paul,
They gotta
he's
end
got
it,
his
right?
hands full with the Titan. He can't even finish these minions.
Yeah, Jade Dragons, they're going to look to end game number 3 here. This is a mercy ending, as the Titans have not had a leg to stand on all game long. The Titans will have to settle for top 6. The Jade Dragons eliminate one more team from top 2 contention, and they do it convincingly.
Is that 13-1 for Scream? What a performance in this last game of the set. I mean, it looked great throughout. The Jade Dragons, I think, probably had a situation where they could have 2-0, but the Tartarus Titans had proven their defense was solid. And in this game, too, the final kick goes in, almost gets completely deleted before he was even descend into madness. But the great thing about that composition, Dave, you always got another Cthulhu. There's always one more if
That's
Pagon
right.
holds on to that ultimate. And Pagon and Scream combined get it done. Off the back of some good damage from Panda Cat as well. And BBM was also extremely low at the start of that fight. The defense was decent, but the offense seemed to win out.
Yeah, Titans showed a lot of fight here in game 3, at least towards the end. Game 2, really, that's what you're grabbing onto. But if you're the Dragons, what you're looking at is 3 straight games where early game completely in your favor, and then in game 1 and game 3 didn't even really get to late game.
Yep.
Convincing from the Jade Dragons, tighter grasp on top 2 going into the Phase 3 playoffs after this one, but have not locked it up just yet. Feeling pretty good about their chances, though. Jade Dragons take this set 2-1 over the Tartarus Titans. We'll head back to J-Mac and Mifflin to break it down.
Yeah, it looked a little dicey there in that last little team fight, but as I said, when one
sure?
Cthulhu goes down, there's always another one to stand tall. And when you got Scream, who was 12-1 by the end of that game, standing right by you, can't be too worried if you're a Jade Dragon or a Jade Dragon fan. They're able to take the set 2-1 over the Tartarus Titans, and a lot of that just coming off of Scream throughout the early game. When your dodgy is 10 of like your, 14 maybe kills that the team had gotten at that point there, pretty hard to argue against the Jade Dragons, Mifflin.
Yeah, I was looking at the player damage charts, and I saw layers at the bottom, and I was like, well, Scream's surely nearby, because Osiris is like an early game god, and Daji is like okay in the early game, but generally it's like level 7, where you're really starting to hit the ground running, and then I looked at the top of the charts, and I saw Scream like actually doubling his damage, and I was like, well, it's not like Osiris falls off, and then I remembered, oh yeah, he does, and I was like, well, maybe Daji falls off, and I was like, well, no, she doesn't. I was like, well, maybe the Jade Dragons, because they're winning so early, will fall off late, because that's like the Jade Dragons special. But then I looked at their draft, and it was a late game draft. And then I looked back at my phone, because I was like, GG.
And it was GG.
That's right.
It was done from that point on. Jade Dragons, 21 minutes in, I mean, you look up, and it's already 11,000 gold at that point. Just feels like it's hard for them. And essentially at that point, it's a game where they have to throw themselves at the enemy throne room multiple times before they end up going down, and before the Titans are able to bring that one back in. Scream on the dodgy. I mean, when you give a team dodgy, that's usually pretty bad news. When you give it to the Dragons twice in a set,
Yep.
that's really bad news.
I agree. I mean, we don't need to talk about it. The stats speak for themselves. 25,000 damage, top in the lobby, 12-1, and innumerable amount of assists as well. Scream Chasm, bro. They got spracked. This is not Jazzberry jamming. They got spracked. What, am I supposed to analyze that? Do you analyze a brutal fist fight in the middle of the street? No, that one guy just got owned. Sorry, it happened to you this time, Titans.
Yeah, Tartarus Titans did just get beat down by the Jade Dragons and by Scream specifically in game number 3. So we decided, well, let's go ahead and pull Scream in for the post-game interview. He's standing by with Dulcin.
Yeah, that's right, Scream. I want to go back to game number 1, though, here. I'm trying to remember the exact composition. It was Thor solo for Fino. Pagon had Pele mid. Who'd you have out of the jungle game 1? You were Daji. Oh, yeah, right. You got Daji again that game. Nuwa for Panda Cat. Yamoja, unfortunately for Mike, had to just play his role. Confirm or deny that you guys had never played those gods in a comp in those roles together prior to that game?
Yeah, Max told us after the game that he hasn't played Nuwa in 6 months. But he was owning. I mean, they gave us Yamoja, so we can kind of do whatever we want, right? We have Yamoja. Right. You know, we're free to troll if we want.
Yeah, but what's his job really on Nuwa in that game? Were you guys saying Panda just build full damage as you would anyway, and then just ult? Was that his job in that game?
Yeah, well, we are playing a dive comp, right? Like we have Thor, we have Pele. I mean, he just realistically has to not feed early game and then press 4 late game, and we're looking good.
Now, I do want to break down Game 3's performance a little bit. You simply steamroll the Titans in this one. Sprack, Chasm, according to Miff here. Did you have to prove to the rest of your team that you are the best assassin player on the Jade Dragons? Was that one personal for you at all?
Yeah, Daniel's always talking a big game, but he just ain't got it like me, so.
Fair enough. It's hard to match that type of performance. It's another good look for the Jade Dragons. Congrats on the win. We'll go back to the desk to end the day.
Yeah, one more congrats to the Jade Dragons, to Scream, and maybe to Jade Dragons fans at home as they're able to find themselves the set win up against the Tartarus Titans and further differentiate that gap and further make that gap a little bit larger between second and just about anything else. You good over there, Mifflin?
Sorry, he's just like Giga Chad walked off. Like, I've never seen so much shoulder movement that guy swaggered off. He like slammed the door open. Yeah, keep saying what you're doing. Yeah, what's up?
Just Jade Dragons and their fans probably pretty happy right now. I mean, Jade Dragons comfortably in that second seed, might only have one other team that can try and maybe pull that one away from them. But that is our first, or I should say our second week of this half of the phase of SMITE. Week number 6 done, 10 sets of SMITE. It has been such a long week since Thursday, and we got a whole nother week of more sets just like this one to go. For the standings, at least, the Atlantis Leviathans, they've secured first seed for themselves. Not much more to say for that team out there. They came in swinging this phase, and only one time have they fallen down. That was that very first set of the phase. Outside of that, it's been crisp play from the Atlantis Leviathans. Jade Dragons hot on the heels for second seed. Camelot Kings right behind them with still a chance to be able to take that one away, though it's got to be a 2-0, or it's got to be a 2-0 win out for the Camelot Kings the remainder of the Jade Dragons have to lose out. Not really a position you want to be when the Jade Dragons perform in the way that they have been out there. Unfortunately for the Scarabs, they are pretty much out of contention at this point for being able to break in. Valkyries and the Bolts, though, keep your eyes on those two teams specifically because it's 3 sets left for both of these squads out there. Chance for the Valkyries to bump back in, maybe take that 6th seed away. But again, you've got to rely on the Olympus Bolts to continue losing out. Oh, and the Valkyries and the Bolts, the last match of the final week of Phase 3. I think everybody is going to be wanting to keep their eyes on there as we take a look at the schedule now. This week we did a 2-2-3-3 weekend for SMITE for SPL. This time it's a 3-2-2-3 as far as the week goes. So we're going to start at 11 a.m. Thursday, then 1 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, and then 11 a.m. on Sunday. So instead of doing 2 11 a.m.s on Saturday, Sunday, we're going to do 1 Thursday, 1 Sunday. Don't worry, keep your eyes on social media. We'll make sure to keep you guys posted when we are going live for all of our streams. So not going to be the exact same amount of sets, though. Still 10 sets of SMITE. It's allocated a little bit differently this time, Mifflin.
Yeah, that last set on Sunday has the potential to be the most interesting SMITE set that we've had this year, depending on how well the Valkyries do up to that point and how poorly the Olympus Bolts do up to that point, right? If the Bolts win out and the Valkyries lose, that last set might lose some luster. But if it's like the stars align, yeah, I would pay to cast that one. You know, you won't have to pay me for that one.
Well, maybe you should keep your eyes on and talking to Gormizer because I know he does a lot of scheduling for that one. But that is it for Week 6 of the SMITE Pro League for Phase number 3. Make sure that you tune back in on Thursday for our final week of the regular season for Season 9 of the SPL. And from that point on, it's playoffs, it's play-ins, it's whatever you want to call it to try and get to the SMITE World Championship. On behalf of myself, Mifflin, Casters, and everyone else behind the scene, thanks for watching, and we'll see you Thursday for the final week of the SMITE Pro League.